The NFL hits the big stage tonight. That's right.
The Rams battle Cleveland in the dog pound of fame.
We'll see who's working at the end of the game. Whose ticket is punched.
The stars are in sight. Everyone comes to play on Monday night.
The NFL is full of get it, boys, state to state. You know that team making noise.
Hit it.
One time right here.
Come on and hit it.
Two times right there.
Come on and get ready.
I'm ready. You ready?
Are you ready for some football?
A Monday night party.
It's a nationwide tour, so let's get it started.
Let's get started. Players at the ready.
Alan John at the mic. All my ready friends are here for Monday night.
Monday night.
Terminal Tower is all aglow in downtown Cleveland on this 8th night of December, and a few blocks away, Cleveland Browns Stadium on the shores of Lake Erie, hosting Monday Night Football for the first time, and out onto the field come the Cleveland Browns. Ready to take on Marshall Faulk and the St. Louis Rams on Monday Night Football. Al Michaels with John Madden and Lisa Guerrero. Welcome to Cleveland, where the Rams come in on a roll. They have won 4 straight. They have won 8 of 9. They have a record of 9-3. They can clinch a playoff spot tonight. And either St. Louis or Philadelphia figures to have home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs. They also have a healthy Marshall Faulk, who had missed a few games with hand and knee injuries. They look like the 1999 Super Bowl champions. In a word, the Rams are hot. The Browns, meanwhile, are not. Coming off a playoff season last year when they took Pittsburgh right to the gun in a wild card game. They come in with a record of 4-8 off an embarrassing loss last week to Seattle with an unsettled quarterback situation, an unsettled running back situation. But here they are with the city hosting Monday night for the first time in 8 years. The dog pound and all of that. They have a lot of intangibles going, facing a team built for turf on grass on a cold night. But can all these little things, John, add up to give them a decent chance to win tonight?
Well, you know, you just listen to these fans here, and they're going crazy, and that's what Butch Davis is really hoping for. We talked about him last night. He said, you know, the Rams are built to play on turf indoors with their speed, and that's where they're so tough. And we hope maybe get them outdoors, a little weather here. And the one thing about the Rams is they do give you the ball. You know, they lead the league in turnovers, so he feels if he can get some pressure, get some turnovers, and then do something with it, they have a chance.
They're averaging close to 3 turnovers a game. You know, most coaches hate comparisons. Mike Martz of the Rams invites them. He doesn't mind you comparing this team to the 99 Super Bowl champs. But as far as you're concerned, when you look at this team matched up with that team, how do they look to you?
I'll tell you, they look very similar, and I think the big thing is Marshall Faulk. Marshall Faulk is healthy now for the first time in 2 years, and you just watch him in the last couple of games, and it's the old Marshall Faulk. And I think if Mike Martz feels a heck of a lot better when he has Marshall Faulk in there, because it's not only his running, it's his blocking, it's his knowledge, his presence. The whole team feeds off of Marshall Faulk.
Should be a great night. Cleveland's been waiting for this for a long time. The dog pound at the ready. Woofing and barking, and away we go from Cleveland. Rams-Browns on Monday Night Football. Here are the FedEx Air stats for tonight's matchup.
Come on,
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to ABC's Monday Night Primetime National Football League television series.
Yeah, right, Howard. It was Namath and Bill Nelson. Then it's Mark Bulger and Kelly Holcomb tonight from Cleveland on Monday Night Football.
National Football League.
For the St. Louis Rams, 9-3, a guy having not a good year, not a great year, but a tremendous season is Torrey Holt, their wide receiver. He's down on the field with Lisa Guerrero. Lisa.
Thanks very much, Al. Torrey Holt is a 2-time Pro Bowl receiver, but with almost 100 catches for just about 1,400 yards in only 12 games, he has taken it to a whole new level this season. Torrey, what's been the big difference for you this year?
I just think first of all, I want to thank my teammates for giving me the opportunity. If it wasn't for them, the stats and the wins wouldn't mean nothing. Just going out and just playing football, and coach is giving me an opportunity to go out and make plays, and I'm stepping up and making things happen.
Torrey, at 4-8, the Browns have been a disappointment, and next week you have a huge game with Seattle. Is there any possibility that you guys might not be as focused as you need to be tonight?
No, I think we'll be focused tonight. We have to stay focused. It's getting close to the end of the season. It's getting playoff time. We understand the importance of this game, so we have to come out, stay focused, play the way we're capable of playing, and hopefully get out of here with a win.
Good luck tonight, Torrey. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Now, Al, yes, the Browns have been struggling, but they're willing to pull out all of the stops tonight. They're going to be wearing their brown jerseys and orange pants for the first time since December 18th, 1983. They are willing to try anything.
A blast from the past, and why not on a night like tonight? And they'll get the ball first as Andre King drops back to receive the kick, along with Lee Suggs, a rookie. The weather, 35 degrees. The wind chill is 27. The wind is out of the southeast at 10. Not too bad, all things considered, for the 8th night of December in Cleveland, Ohio. Jeff Wilkins to kick off for the Rams. The crowd at the ready. Everybody's standing, waving the towels. Dog pound in full throat. And for the first time in 8 years, a Monday night game is played in Cleveland. A short kick. And coming up to field it at the 14 is Lee Suggs. And Suggs will bring it back up to the 37-yard line. And that's where the Cleveland Browns will take over. And let's take a look at their starting offense.
Kelly Holcomb, Middle Tennessee State. James Jackson, University of Miami.
Quincy Morgan, Kansas State.
Andre Davis, Virginia Tech.
Dennis Northcutt, Arizona.
Darnell Sanders, The Ohio State University.
Barry Stokes, Eastern Michigan.
Chad Beasley, VPI.
Melvin Fowler, Maryland.
Sean O'Hara, Rutgers.
Ryan Tucker, Texas Christian.
Ryan Tucker, the right tackle, a former Ram, played on 2 Super Bowl teams in '99 and 2001. And they start with a good-looking end around to Northcutt for a 9-yard gain. So Northcutt takes the handoff, has a lot of room to roam, makes it 2nd and 1.
Dennis Northcutt is in the slot now. Now the Browns, their basic offensive formation is 3 wide receivers. Dennis Northcutt is in the slot as the 3rd wide receiver, and you see him come from that slot, and it's not a reverse, it's just an end around. You fake to the back inside, and then just hand to him coming this way.
2nd and 1 now up at the 46-yard line. Rams blitz, and avoiding that blitz was James Jackson, and with that second effort, he picks up the first down. 1st and 10. Let's take a look at the Rams starting defensive unit.
Leonard Little, Tennessee.
Brian Young, Utah.
Ryan Pickett, The Ohio State University.
Grant Wistrom, Nebraska.
Pisatino Isam Moore, Hawaii. Robert Thomas, UCLA.
Tommy Polley, Florida State.
Demetrius Butler, Kansas State.
Adam Archuleta, Arizona State.
Aeneas Williams, Southern University.
Travis Fisher, Central Florida.
Aeneas Williams with a 90-yard fumble run back last week in that win over Minnesota. Holcomb is under pressure, and then the pass is right there, but dropped by Quincy Morgan. Put it right there, couldn't hold on. 2nd and 10.
One of the big things tonight is going to be how this Cleveland Brown offensive team can pass protect. These guys right here, and the guy that has the biggest job is the right tackle, Ryan Tucker, although that time they had a different type of protection where Tucker blocked down and they let the back take Leonard Little, one of the best pass rushers in the NFL.
Little last week had 4 sacks in that 48-17 win over Minnesota. And they set up the screen, and it's juggled and dropped. So a pass dropped by Morgan, a pass dropped here by James Jackson. 3rd down and 10.
It was interesting. On the first series there, the Rams started out in dime defense on 1st down. They had 6 defensive backs in there. And then when the Browns got a 1st down, then they went back to their regular or base defense. It's Lovie Smith, the assistant head coach and defensive coordinator, who's done a heck of a job with his defense. And now they're back in the dime or 6 defensive backs.
3rd down and 10. And the Browns are in the shotgun. Kelly Holcomb, who played his college ball at Middle Tennessee State, and Aeneas Williams comes in from the corner and unimpeded blasts him to the turf to set up 4th and long.
And I'll tell you, he's as good as anyone at that, Aeneas Williams. Remember what he did to Steve Young coming from this same side. Here you see he's up there in the slot, and he's going to be the blitzer. You see he just comes from the outside. No one blocks him. I mean, he really unloaded on Kelly Holcomb.
When he did it to Steve Young, that was the last play of Steve's career. in Arizona in '99. Chris Gardocki's kick is fielded by Mike Furry. Looking for a blocking, gets it as he works his way to the outside, up past the 40-yard line, finally run out of bounds at the 45-yard line. A 40-yard punt and a 25-yard return. So a good start for the Rams. Williams with a sack, St. Louis with the ball near midfield.
Great hops make great beer.
Holiday season, come to Office Depot for everyday low prices on technology gifts for everyone on your list. No matter what business you're in.
Christmas tree, are you here, Ed?
Here you go, Chewie. Thank you, Bob. There you go. Happy holidays, Marnie.
Oh, thank you, Bob.
Happy holidays.
Office Depot. What you need to know. Now until December 13th, save $250 on an Averitech notebook computer at Office Depot.
Changed. Shouldn't the minivan? Introducing the all-new Nissan Quest.
From Cleveland, ABC's Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Budweiser. Grab a cold, fresh Budweiser. It's game time. Office Depot, what you need and what you need to know. Norelco, ultra close, ultra comfortable. And Nissan will invite you to shift the way you move through the world. The Rams come up on first down, shifting, slot right, 1st and 10 from the 43-yard line. And they give the ball to Marshall Faulk for the first but not the last time tonight, no doubt. No gain. Let's take a look at the Ram offense.
Mark Folger, West Virginia.
Marshall Faulk, San Diego State.
Joey Goodspeed, Notre Dame.
Isaac Bruce, University of Memphis.
Torrey Holt, North Carolina State.
Brandon Manu Malayuna, Arizona.
Orlando Pace, The Ohio State University.
Andy McCullum, Toledo.
Dave Wolova, Syracuse.
Adam Timmerman, South Dakota State.
Kyle Turley, San Diego State.
Kyle Turley, a big addition this year, came over in a trade with New Orleans, giving the Rams 2 great tackles to go with those receivers. And this guy, Marshall Faulk. And Marshall Faulk across the 50 and a first down. And John, the Rams just run these plays that look like no other plays run by any team in the National Football League.
And that's all about Mike Martz, and I think it's about having players like Marshall Faulk that you have to challenge them. I mean, they have so much knowledge. They love these types of things, you know, doing different things, different formations, different personnel. You see, here's a counter tray, but the thing about Marshall Faulk, he runs so well, but he's very patient. I mean, he lets that thing develop. He lets those 2 pullers get out in front of him, and then he starts making his moves. He doesn't beat his blockers to the hole.
1st and 10 now at the 42-yard line. Deep drop, good protection. Bulger throws, caught, close to a first down. Isaac Bruce to the 32-yard line. Let's take a look at the Browns starting defense.
Courtney Brown, Penn State.
Gerard Warren, Florida.
Orpheus Roy, Florida State.
Nard Lane, the University of Miami.
Kevin Bentley, Northwestern University.
Andre Davis, Florida.
Brant Boyer, Arizona.
Anthony Henry, South Florida.
Robert Griffith, San Diego State.
Earl Little, University of Miami.
Dalen McCutcheon, USC Trojans.
Dalen, the son of Lawrence McCutcheon, the outstanding former Rams running back, now in their front office and player personnel. So father and son on opposite sides tonight as Faulk on first down tries to spin around, something he did with great effectiveness more or less in the open field last week, but not here. Brant Boyer makes the stop.
You know, and that spin you were talking about last week as I was watching that film, and I said, Marshall Faulk is back. When I saw this one, this is the old Marshall Faulk. You know, people say, well, you know, he may have lost this, he may have lost something. when he made a move last week where he made a spin, came out of the spin, and made another spin, I said, that's the Marshall Faulk of 19 of 99.
Faulk in the last 3 games has rushed for over 100 yards in each of them. Second down and 11 now at the 33-yard line. No score, almost 5 minutes into the game. Short drop this time. Quick pass caught by Torrey Holt. And Holt's first grab of the night for a gain of about 6. And here's the play we were talking about last week against Minnesota. Marshall Faulk with a little what they call in the National Hockey League spinorama.
Here's the first one. There's the first spin right there. And then when you get the second spin, you have to call that spinorama. But when you do that and then come out of it with a burst like that, you know that he's okay. I mean, there were people early in the season would say maybe he's through, maybe he's over the hill, the 30-year-old thing. Not this guy, believe me.
And when you say that, that just stokes his fire even more. Third down and 2 from the 24-yard line. Under pressure, and the pass is incomplete. That time Orpheus Roy came in and got in Bulger's face and tipped the ball as well. 4th down.
You know, and that's when, you know, when you talk to the Browns, you talk about what they have to do. This is a big thing, and they said they have to get pressure on Bulger, and they think if they get pressure on him, they can have plays like this. Here's Orpheus Roy right here. He's going to come straight up the middle, past the center, and he makes Bulger. He doesn't hit Bulger, but he makes him throw it awry, as they would say.
Jeff Wilkins, now in his 11th year, has never missed a field goal attempt on Monday Night Football. This one from 42 yards, and they fake it. And Wilkins to the outside will get the first down. Dane Looker, who is a wide receiver, took the snap, tossed it to him, and it's a first down.
You see, Mike Martz is awfully satisfied with himself. These are things that you practice, and then you have in a game plan, but it takes a lot of guts to call it. I mean, just to go like that. Dane Looker takes the ball, fakes it up the middle, and then pitches it out to the kicker. That is a weird play. But you fake it to someone in the middle. That has to be his guard, Adam Timmerman, and then he throws it out to Wilkins.
That's like that. It's like that foreplay. The Rams just add so many twists. He puts the ball down on the ground, fakes it one way, then tosses it the other way. He does 3 things instead of 1.
Who would even think like that?
March at about 1:30 in the morning. I think he gets up and must scribble this stuff down. He's like a mad scientist. Second down and 8 now after the 2-yard pickup.
You know, and when things go well for him in play calling, he can get on a roll too. You know, we're talking about how quarterbacks get a rhythm, they get on a roll. As a play caller, Mike Martz is very, very aggressive, and when he gets on a roll, he can eat you up.
He's a mad scientist too, in the sense he uses a lot of early timeouts. He uses them very cavalierly. He'll use his challenges almost indiscriminately. Sometimes he's out of them early in the second quarter. Second down and 7. Faulk again. And Faulk takes it to about the 11-yard line. Brant Boyer makes the tackle, setting up a 3rd and probably long 3 here.
And his right guard, Adam Timmerman, pulls and leads on that. And that's another thing with patience, you know, that Marshall Faulk does so well. He has about 3 or 4 different speeds.
And good speed in all of those against Chicago, against Arizona, and then last week those 3 touchdowns to move past Jim Brown and Walter Payton on the all-time touchdown list. Halfway through the opening period, this is the Rams' first drive of the game. 3rd and 3 from the 10. Good protection for Bulger, and then he slings it incomplete behind Marshall Faulk at the goal line. And so Wilkins, who was involved in the fake moments ago, will come out to attempt a field goal, we think.
Yeah, I would think at this point they're going to kick the field goal. That, you know, he's already used. He probably has about 5 trick plays in his game plan. He's already used one of them, but he won't use that same one again.
Wilkins, as we said before, has not missed a field goal in his Monday night career with the 49ers and Rams. Ironically, though, he's missed 2 extra points, both in the same game. From 28, this one is good. So the Rams move down the field on their initial drive. 7:18 left to go in the first quarter. St. Louis 3, Cleveland nothing.
Shave with Norelco Advantage with moisturizing gel. It prevents nicks and cuts. Use Spectra and you can personalize it for comfort. So now there are 2 ways to achieve close shaving satisfaction. As you can see. Ultra close, ultra comfortable, guaranteed.
'Tis the AD season for an all-new holiday according to Jim. There's a secret Santa in this house, hiding the biggest secret of all. Then, Carl and Owen are both dreaming of the same thing for Christmas. Lydia.
This is your lucky day, baby.
New Less Than Perfect. It all starts at 9/8 Central, ABC Tuesday.
Next Monday, to Miami we go. The Eagles have won 8 straight, clinched the playoff spot against the Dolphins. All of a sudden, that becomes an imperative game for Miami to win after their loss yesterday to New England and Denver's win over Kansas City. Cleveland gets the ball for the second time. Lee Suggs takes the kickoff, and a rookie out of Virginia Tech brings it back to the 28-yard line. So Kelly Holcomb and company coming out to set up shop at that point. With 7 minutes, 12 seconds remaining in the opening period, and the Rams on top, 3-0.
Offensive behavior. Another side effect of hunger. Stop hunger from stopping you. Grab a Snickers, peanuts, caramel, and chocolate.
You forgot your hat!
Hungry? Grab a Snickers.
See anything?
Hold up.
Bingo. Down.
Now there's a better way around blackout days. Get the Capital One Miles One card. No blackout dates, no hassles. The Capital One card.
What's in your wallet? I know where you live!
Butch Davis was the coach at the University of Miami with tremendous success, then came here in 2001. And take a look at this. The Browns, on their entire roster, have not had a guy who on Monday night has rushed the ball, caught the ball, or scored a point. You'd have to go back to 71 in the second year of this package when the 49ers were in such a circumstance. But the only guy who has thrown the ball is that man, the punter, Chris Gardocki, who has thrown 6 passes in his career, 3 under the Monday night lights. However, all of them incomplete. 1st and 10 at the 28-yard line as Holcomb retreats under pressure, gets the pass off, and the catch is made by Darnell Sanders, the tight end, and the first flag of the game comes in. Tom White is the referee this evening, and it's roughing the passer against the Rams. So Holcomb went down, got the pass away, and this will tack on some more yardage.
I think it was a piece of Tina Isamoah.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Number 50. 15-yard penalty. First down.
It is.
Right. He came on a blitz, and what happened, the Browns went empty here, and I'm kind of surprised at that. You see Tina Isamoah come straight up the middle. Holcomb throws the ball is gone, and Tina Isamoah just stays with the tackle.
Tina Isamoah, second-round draft choice out of Hawaii, their second choice. That's a first down at the 50-yard line. And now it's James Jackson. Jackson played his college football for Butch Davis at Miami. Of course, the primary running back for the Browns is one William Green, who is much troubled right now because he's been suspended by the league, and that suspension has been extended. Green was also arrested on a DUI and marijuana possession charge. His girlfriend was charged with stabbing him. He has all kinds of issues. The bottom line is William Green, out of Boston College, the #1 pick last year, not with the team tonight, and we would assume doubtful for the rest of the year. Second down and 8 from the 48-yard line. Holcomb throws. has now completed 2 after his receivers had dropped 2.
Hey, the Rams come out, and they're getting a lot more aggressive on their defense. You know, the Rams used to play a lot of that Tampa cover 2, and now they're blitzing. This is a blitz now. What the blitz does, it gives you man-to-man coverage out there. So if you can pick it up, then Kelly Holcomb can do it. And you see him pick up the blitz here, give him time to step up to get the ball out there to Quincy Morgan. And these wide receivers for the Browns are pretty good.
Off a quick snap this time, here's Jackson to the outside. He's able to turn the corner and finally gets wrestled down after a 7-yard gain, and he got in behind a Ryan Tucker block. And we talked about the fact that Tucker is the ex-Ram and the guy with 2 Super Bowl game experiences, one a winner, one a loser.
You know, and I look at this Brown offense as they're playing right now. When I watch them on film, I thought the best player on their offense was Ryan Tucker. I said, you know, I always look kind of, if I had to look at this team, if I had to take one of these guys or some of them, I would have, off this offensive team, I would take Ryan Tucker.
And the Rams really missed him last year with John St. Clair, and then have filled that gap this year by getting Kyle Turley. And 2nd and short, Holcomb throws, he double clutched. Chad Mustard, the intended receiver. It'll be 3rd down, and let's check in with Lisa.
Hey, Al, you guys were talking about the predicament that William Green is in. Now, the team can't have any contact with him right now, but his teammates certainly can. And the closest friend that he has on the Browns is Gerard Warren. I talked to him at length the other day. He told me he's very concerned about William. He's normally a loner anyway, but now he's feeling more isolated than ever before. He's been working out, wants to rejoin the team, but Gerard gave him this piece of advice. You're either heading into the storm, you're in the eye of the storm, or you're coming out of the storm. It's up to you to decide which of those 3 situations you're in.
After this, Green's missed 5 games now. Here's the toss to Jamel White. So that looks like it's out of the Rams playbook, and it's 1st and goal before Rich Cody finally makes the tackle, and this crowd of 73,000 erupts after a 22-yard gain.
You know, Quincy Morgan, the wide receiver, number 28, makes a heck of a block. This is what we call toss crack. And the crack is the outside right there. Boom. He makes that block, and that just frees that corner. This is a big block. Now, if you're going to run it, you have to get that block right there. And your wide receivers have to come in and block like Quincy Morgan just blocked. That was an ear hole deal.
And the Browns are not a big play team. That's only their 3rd rush of 20 or more yards all season. Holcomb throws, caught in the end zone, wide open. Keith Heinrich for the touchdown. And Butch Davis's team has answered the Wilkins field goal with a very good-looking, sharp, crisp, 7-play, 72-yard drive.
They did it by picking up the blitz earlier. Then they get down here. They have 3 tight ends. Here's Heinrich. He's number 49, right there in the middle. And that's a place that you usually complete the passes in the end zone, is at the back of the end zone. Between the halfway point, the last 5 yards, depth in the end zone.
Dawson for the point after. And Heinrich, who played in 4 games with the Panthers last year and has come over to Cleveland, has just scored the 1st touchdown of his career. Why not on Monday Night Football to give the Browns and a happy Butch Davis a 4-point lead?
Don't just give a gift. Give the good life. This is the year to get him something for all his projects, and Sears is the place to do it. A saw with a laser. How cool is that?
This year, I'm going to give him the ultimate workshop.
Stores my tools, charges my batteries. I love it.
Sears is his favorite store.
The big tool sale at Sears. Get great savings on top brands, including Craftsman, like this mechanics tool set for just $99.99.
Give the good life.
Feeling trapped because you're attached to your wireless number? Take your number to a better place. Join T-Mobile, the best value in wireless, and get 3-day weekends.
T-Mobile, get more.
Today we salute you, Mr. Grocery Store Cart Wrangler. There are 20 strays in the lot, and weather's setting in. Who's gonna bring those dogies safely back inside?
Who's it gonna be?
The man in the smock and the comfortable shoes.
Don't knock my smock.
So crack open an ice-cold Bud Light, Mr. Grocery Store Cart Wrangler.
Mr. Grocery Store Cart Wrangler.
Riveting. Compelling. Suspenseful. Incredible. Line of Fire. ABC Tuesday, 10/9 Central.
Well, you all know about the BCS craziness, so here's the lineup. Thursday, Jan 1, Rose Bowl, SC Michigan. Orange Bowl that night, Miami, Florida State. Friday, Jan 2, Kansas State, Ohio State in the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. And then in the Nokia Sugar Bowl, Oklahoma, LSU. So you have 1 and 2 in the Sugar. You've got 3 in the Rose. Pete Carroll, I think, is in the catbird seat right now because in the human polls, he's ranked number 1. It's wild, and it's all on ABC, Jan 1, 2, and 3.
Look at these fans here out there going nuts. They all got towels and whipping the things around. And
great scene.
They love these. These are great fans here in Cleveland.
Arlen Harris from the 17-yard line, up past the 30, and Harris gives him decent field position. The rookie out of Virginia as he takes the ball up to the 41-yard line. 4:06 remaining in the opening period in Cleveland Browns Stadium, where the Homeboys are leading 7-3.
Do you believe in Santa Claus?
What do Michael Jackson's parents want you to know about their son? For the first time since his arrest, Catherine and Joe Jackson speak out.
You don't know these wicked people.
On 20/20 Friday.
Tomorrow night at 10 Eastern and Pacific, 9 Central and Mountain. It's a brand new episode of the season's most talked about new drama, The FBI Against the Mob, Line of Fire, tomorrow night, right here on the American Broadcasting Company. The Dog Pound. 1st and 10 for the Rams at the 41-yard line. Rams spread it out. Now Falk resets in the backfield, takes the handoff. A little bit of a hole there, and about a 3-yard pickup to the 44. It looked like when the season began, Kurt Warner would be the starter. In fact, he was. He played opening day. There he is, calling the plays into Bulger after getting them from March. Since opening day, when Warner passed a 342, but the Rams lost to the Giants, a mistake-prone game for the Rams, Warner has not played a single down. Bulger this year, 16 touchdowns and 18 interceptions. A very odd pairing of numbers for a team that's 9-3. And 9-2 with him at the helm. And he throws the Falk underneath, and Marshall gets across the 50 for a first down, tackled by Brant Boyer.
You know, and we're talking about Marshall Falk and how important he is to this team and this offense. And right there is the thing. I mean, you can have Torrey Holt outside. You can have Isaac Bruce. You can have 3 wide receivers going deep all over the field. But the thing is, if you get in trouble and you have to look for someone, that guy is always number 28, Marshall Falk, who you throw to him just like that last play on a check down.
He had a broken hand. That kept him out. And then when he was out with a hand, they had a chance to take a look at his knee, went in, scoped that. So he missed 5 games total. 1st and 10 from the 47, and the healthy Falk gets taken down. Nice play by Boyer, the linebacker, who sliced in and along with Courtney Brown takes him down.
And Courtney Brown is going to have to play a big game tonight. You know, when we talked to Butch Davis and the defensive coordinator, everyone said the same thing, that they have to get pressure. Who's going to get the pressure? It has to be Courtney Brown or it has to be Gerard Warren. And here he is playing against the run, but he really, I don't know that he's ever pulled the cork yet. You know, I mean, he was a #1 draft choice and the first player picked in the draft. You'd think that this guy should be dominant. I have never seen him dominate.
No greater expectation for a rookie than to be #1 overall. And on 2nd down and 10, Bulger is run out of bounds by Warren. And, you know, John, we're talking about the #1 pick in the draft. And, of course, on the sideline is one Tim Couch, who we'll discuss throughout the course of tonight's game. The #1 pick overall back in '99.
And Courtney Brown, will just watch him on this play. Now, they must think something of him because they are doubling. I mean, they have the tight end on him, and then he goes inside. Then Kyle Turley, the tackle, takes him. And because he got caught inside like that, though, Mark Bulger was able to escape to the outside.
3rd down and 5 now. Shotgun. Bulger throws quickly, and it is incomplete. Holt unable to hold on to it. It'll be 4th down and 5.
And as you said, Mark Bulger threw quickly. He had to throw quickly because the Browns were going to put pressure on him, and they're pressuring with a blitz, and he had to get rid of the ball. And he had to get rid of it, to his hot read, who was Torrey Holt on that play.
Now, Sean Landeta, the oldest punter ever, more punts than anybody in history. Been around since the early 80s.
I think he's the oldest a lot of things ever.
He's the only punter in history who's a member of ARC. Dennis Northcutt back to accept the kick. Falls with a fair catch, makes it at the 11-yard line. Crowd wanted him to run it back. Now here comes Holcomb, who started his career as a Tampa Bay Buck, though he never played on a game for them, then Indy, and then here. And then last year, he wins the starting job based pretty much upon that performance, the 3rd greatest in postseason history, eclipsed only by former Brown Bernie Kosar and the great Dan Fouch at San Diego. 429 against Pittsburgh in a losing effort. So they went to camp, and then Butch Davis had to decide whether he goes with Couch or Holcomb. He chose Holcomb. Holcomb broke his leg in game 4. Missed 3 games. Couch came back. Couch came off the bench last week for briefly. Holcomb is now again at the helm, and he gives the ball to Jackson. And Jackson able to burst through the middle, and James Jackson up to the 28-yard line for a 1st down.
Yeah, I watched the Browns on tape, and I thought there's no way they're going to be able to run, because Butch Davis was saying we have to do 3 things. He said we have to throw short and quickly, we have to throw screen passes, and we have to be able to run the ball. Make them play the run. And I didn't think they'd be able to do it. But watch James Jackson here. He gets that cut. He takes it to the left side, finds that cutback, and takes that cutback to the right. The Rams are a little too aggressive tonight, and they're over-pursuing everything.
And they're also, as there's jumping at the line, and that will be against Cleveland for a false start. Robert Thomas, the middle linebacker, is out of the game right now. We'll check on him. And Jamie Duncan comes in to replace him, and that opened up the middle for Jackson on the last play. And now Tom White, whose crew is now living in temporary infamy because of screwing up the clock in Baltimore in the Seattle game a couple of weeks ago. White was docked a game check, a half of a game check, which was about $2,800, and they'll discuss this one at length. Tom doesn't want to get fined again.
Now, you were talking about Robert Thomas coming out of there on that same series. It was a series ago. Ryan Pickett, their defensive tackle, also limped off. So that middle of this Ram defense is effective.
5-yard penalty remains 1st down.
Let's check in with Lisa.
All right, an injury report for you, Al. The Rams linebacker Robert Thomas, you just mentioned him. He has a strained left groin. His return is questionable. And as you mentioned, he's been replaced by Jamie Duncan.
And with Pickett's now replaced. As you look at Thomas, he's been replaced by Damian Lewis, number 92. So the Rams, a little bit of a makeshift situation on the other side of the line of scrimmage here on 1st and 15 now. They give the ball to Jamel White. And White gets forced out of bounds by the cornerback, Demetrius Butler.
And he got right by Adam Archuleta. You know, the Rams like to play that defense where Adam Archuleta, this strong safety, comes up, and he really plays like a 4th linebacker. So it's kind of a 4 defensive line, 3 linebackers plus Archuleta, and it's tough to run at.
That will be the end of the 1st quarter, with Cleveland leading St. Louis 7-3. And ABC's Monday Night Football continues after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Returning to Cleveland, Al Michaels, John Madden, and Lisa Guerrero. St. Louis took an early lead on a Wilkins field goal. Then Cleveland countered with a 72-yard march. But James Jackson, off to a good start tonight, 4 carries, 30 yards, is having his knee checked out on the table on the sideline. And so the 2nd quarter begins with Jamel White in the backfield and taken down in that backfield by the blitzing Tommy Polley.
You know, you were talking about how the Cleveland Browns have missed William Green, and you know, in talking to their coaches and players, it's, you know, he's suspended, and it's not only missing him as a player, but the toughness that he brought, and and the size. You know, that he was a big back, and you could kind of pound the ball in there. And the Browns don't have anyone that can pound it at you now.
They don't have a running back without Green. You know, you have Jackson and White, but they're backup guys. And again, it's that unsettled quarterback situation as well. 3rd down and 17 now from the 21-yard line. Holcomb under pressure and just dumps it off. Incomplete because of the pressure from Brian Young, and a flag because he may not have been outside of what they would call the tackle box. If you are, you can just throw it toward the line of scrimmage and get away with it. But in this particular case, he may have been within that boundary.
I think you're right. I think he was within that boundary, and he was getting a rush, and you can't throw the ball away to avoid a rush.
And that's what the Rams are. They're contending that is the case here. Take a look.
But I think it's academic anyway. This is 3rd down, incomplete pass. So the Rams are going to turn down the penalty and make the Browns punt.
It's a loss of down penalty. You could take it as well, but I think they're going to waive this off. You lose the down and the distance. So Tom, tell us about it.
Ineligible lineman, number 60 downfield. Penalty is declined.
Okay.
Take the result of the play. 4th down.
Now that one you decline, but if you throw it away and ground the ball, you get the yardage plus the down. So he was looking at a different thing there.
I still think Kelly Holcomb did throw the ball away, don't you?
I agree. Yeah, he was right on that line, that imaginary line.
Or maybe he was throwing to the ineligible guy downfield. And if they count that, then they got to count the other one.
Gardocki with a line drive kick. Furry drops the ball at the 34-yard line and then gets taken down back at the 30. Appeared on his way to muffing it, but he's able to hold on, and the coverage is great, and Lee Bodden makes the tackle. Monday night, 1970. Jets, Browns, right here, September 21st. Gary Collins scores the first touchdown on Monday Night Football. Broadway Joe was in action that night. Guys like George Sauer had a big night. And the Cleveland Browns wind up winning the game. Homer Jones right there, 31-21 in the first year of what is now a 34-year-old package.
You remember that game?
I do. I was in Hawaii when that game was played. I'm sure you remember it. As far to the right side here. Where were you at that time?
Well, I was coaching the Raiders then, and you know we were meeting and getting game plans ready and stuff, and we would go in and sneak a peek at it, and then I remember the big thing was the halftime highlights. I mean, that was way because we didn't have all those ESPNs and all those sports centers and all those things that would show highlights. So you would wait until Monday night at halftime, and then they'd show you everything that went on the day before.
Because you couldn't see it, and that's when Cosell would know just enough about a guy. If they had an 80-yard run, that's where he could go all the way came from. It was Cosell filling time on the run. 2nd down and 7 as Bulger throws, and that pass is picked off at the 49 by Earl Little, and the Browns will have it at the Rams' 42-yard line. That's his 5th interception of the season. No other Cleveland player has more than one.
And that's what the Browns were looking for. They knew that Mark Bulger, if you put a little pressure on him, they were trying to go to Torrey Holt on that one, on that deep end, but they know that if you play him and if you get a little pressure on him and you play their patterns like this, that Mark Bulger will throw you some. Mark Bulger is an anticipation thrower. He's going to throw that ball before his receiver makes the cut. And I'll tell you, on that one, Earl Little read it perfectly.
And Martz is going to challenge that the ball hit the ground. As we mentioned before, Martz, somewhat indiscriminately, somewhat cavalierly, somewhat impetuously, uses those challenges early. So we'll see what happens here. There was a game on a Monday night against Tampa a couple of years ago when Martz used both. Remember, you get 2, no matter if you're successful or not. And then when you're out of them, you can't use them. And there was a big play with Warwick Dunn, who clearly went out of bounds. He got the call that night in St. Louis. Tampa won the game because Martz was out of challenges.
I have a theory about that if the head coach is also the play caller, he has a tough time managing the game.
Now they're going to say the buzzer, I think, went off by mistake, or at least that's what we're being told they're going to say.
Well, that flag didn't fall out of the mistake, I don't think.
Right. Cleveland's buzzer went off by mistake is what we're hearing, but March is going to challenge because the flag is down on the field.
Yeah, we're talking about anticipation, and when Mark Bulger throws that ball, that was a deep end, and they call that a 4-cut. So when Torrey Holt gets 20 yards, he's going to throw it 2 yards inside the numbers.
Challenging the ruling on the field that this is an interception.
So Tom White will go to the hood, with Cleveland leading 7-3 and St. Louis challenging the pick.
Oh, Cedric, this is perfect.
Yeah, just you, me, and 6 of our best friends.
Holiday season, give a Lowe's gift card. It's the gift of home.
Introducing the Wild Mountain Combos from Wendy's. A hot, smoky Southwestern pepper sauce, Colby Jack, and bacon on a juicy hamburger or on Wendy's spicy chicken filet. Now that's something to remember. Wendy's, it's better here.
Access NFL.com to vote for your favorite NFL All-Stars. The Pro Bowl ballot is online exclusively at NFL.com.
Cleveland Brown Stadium on the shores of Lake Erie. Aerial coverage provided by Bud Light, and the top of your screen is dark because that is Lake Erie. A lot of sailing going on out there right now. Meanwhile, let's take a look at what they were looking at. Tom White still checking it out. Little makes the interception. All of the body language, even though the ball disappears from view as it will on this angle as well. But John, to me it looks like he has it all the way even though it disappears, and there's nothing that I see that would compel or cause Tom White to overturn this call.
I don't think there's any way they can overturn this. That's a heck of a play by Earl Little. You know, that's a big pattern that the Rams run all the time, is that deep 20-yard dig or in, and Little was sitting back there as a free safety. He anticipated and read it perfectly. Tom White looks like he's getting his head in there deeper and deeper to get a closer look at it, doesn't he? But I don't see how he can see anything. The longer he looks, I don't see how he can see anything that could overturn that play.
No, unless he's seeing something we're not seeing.
He's getting awfully close to it. Now he's backing away.
He's in communication with the guys upstairs. You're also talking about where to spot the ball in terms of the yard line. It's a loose minute and a half, of course, as you all know, in terms of how long you can see it. The other thing he might be thinking about here is, was he down by contact? He may be saying, okay, it is a pick, but the question now becomes, was he down by contact before he got up? That's the other part of the play that he's probably looking at right now.
I would guess that he wasn't down by contact either. I would think the answer would be no on both of the above.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands of an interception. But the player is ruled down by contact at the 47-yard line. It'll be a first down for Cleveland.
Well, they did rule that he was. I agree with you, John. I thought he was contacted by the offensive player, but by the time he got possession, he had rolled free. So they give him the pick, but they don't give him the extra yardage. So now they have the ball spotted at the 43. They're going to have to move the ball back about 4 yards. He said the 47-yard line before play can resume. And as we say that, they're now moving the ball back 4 yards.
Right, and that's what Tom White was talking about after he pulled his head out of the hood to talk about the spot where he was down.
In fact, they move it back to the 40. Wait a minute, they're moving it back to the Browns 48? Now,
I think they miscalculated
I do too. I think that was intercepted, Fred, down in the truck. We'll get in the truck. I thought, yeah, I mean, now they got to buzz White again because I thought Little intercepted it at the Rams 48. Well, no, he intercepts it on the other side of the 50, so they're going to say he was contacted. He originally said at the 47-yard line, leading me to think it was the Rams 47.
And then is he down by contact at that point?
Yeah, I didn't think he was down anyway, though White said he was. You had Torrey Holt, the intended receiver. Take a look again. All right, now he makes there's contact there, But by the time possession is gained by Little, I think he's rolled away from Holt. So I don't think he's down by contact.
No, that's the first contact that he had after he got possession. But they're the boss.
They are the boss. Jamel White still in the backfield now. Play resumes 1st and 10 after the turnover. And Holcomb pulls it to a wide open Quincy Morgan to the 31-yard line, where he's tackled by Aeneas Williams, and that is a 21-yard gain.
And they just got in that seam. Quincy Morgan is just going to get in that seam behind the linebackers in front of the defensive back. You see, you go there, you get past the corner, then you get in that seam over the linebackers, and Kelly Holcomb hit him perfectly.
Ryan Pickett, the defensive tackle, they were looking at his ankle. He comes back into the game. Here's White. Loss of a couple, tackled by Pickett. And what's the update right now on James Jackson, Lisa?
Well, potentially some bad news for the Browns, because they've just taken Jackson into the locker room to check out his right knee. They say he has some kind of a right knee injury. They're going to keep him in the locker room for further observation. For now, his return is questionable, and I'll keep an eye on it. All
right, thank you. Jackson is out for the moment. Green, of course, is suspended. They have Jamel White, and I would think before the night's done, we're going to see a lot of the rookie out of Virginia Tech, Lee Suggs. 2nd down and 12. From the 33-yard line. Holcomb under pressure, loses the ball. It spins back to him, and he still doesn't get possession. The Rams do. Leonard Little, who's become a monster on the defensive line, forced it. Little, with 11 sacks coming into the game despite playing in only 8 games, forces the turnover here, and the Rams will have the ball back, trailing by 4. Cleveland has just turned the ball over. That's the Rams' 37th takeaway. Leonard Little gets his 12th sack and the fumble recovery. The ball is at the 42-yard line. Fake toss to the outside. They give it to Falk, and Falk picks up 8, just like that, to the 50, tackled by Dalen McCutcheon.
You know, we saw Leonard Little come on that pass rush, and he's one of the best pass rushers in all of football. Now, Lovie Smith helps him. Here he is here. You see they're going to blitz 2 guys in here, and that's going to free Leonard Little. And they're doing more and more of that, giving him a blitz to his side where you have to pick up the blitzer. You pick up the blitzer, then you don't get Leonard Little. Because if they just leave him out here, you know, he's so dangerous as a pass rusher, they're going to double him all the time. They're going to bring the blitz to his side.
And they're missing the 2 running backs, and White there not able to block him. They pay the price. Falk pretty close to a first down, tackled by Roy. It'll be first down or 3rd and inches.
So I'm taking a walk today, and I'm going. No, I'm outside our hotel. No, I am. So I'm on a walk, and I'm going by the mall by our hotel, and guess who I run into coming out of the mall?
Don't tell me Otto Graham.
No. The Cleveland Brown football team.
Oh, the whole team?
Butch Davis took them to a movie this morning. So about noon, here comes the whole team. They have 2 buses. And the whole team and Butch Davis come along, and I said, where you been? And he said, well, I didn't know what to do all day, so I took him to a movie this morning.
You know, coaches have that dilemma. What do you do with a team on a Monday, especially in the Eastern time zone, when the game is going to kick off at about 9:07?
Yeah, but he took them early. I think he took them at 9 o'clock in the morning, because they were out of there. I don't know. I don't even know you had movies at 9 o'clock in the morning.
You'd have nothing certainly with an R at 9 o'clock, right?
Right.
What they do, go to some animated kids thing?
I'll tell you what, I'll bet you 3/4 of the team slept.
Yeah, no doubt. 3rd and inches at the 49-yard line. Fake, then Bulger's going to throw it, and open is John St. Clair, the tackle, who was an eligible receiver. It's that jumbo formation that a lot of teams use, where a tackle lines up at the end of the line, catches the pass, 18 yards.
That's exactly what it was, Al. John St. Clair comes in short yardage as a tight end. He's right here. You think he's going to come in here and block. Lo and behold, he goes out here, comes right out here, and Bulger's going to hit him. You don't expect that. Block down, block down. Everyone starts to flow with the play pass. he goes outside. He makes a pretty good catch for a big old tackle, too, doesn't he?
Third year out of Virginia, John. First catch of his career on a third and short, 1st and 10 now at the 31-yard line. Bulger caught at the 19 by Brandon Manu Malayuna. You know, you look at Mike Martz. He is like the anti-Woody Hayes. I mean, it's like anything goes at any time, anywhere on the field.
No, and especially the pass. And one of those things, you know, he's from the Ernie Zampese school, and you know, Ernie kind of taught Mike Martz's whole offense. It's kind of Ernie's and Norv Turner's and from that school. And those guys were all the same. Once they start passing, they had a hard time remembering that they'd go back to the run. And they want to pass. They would love to pass every down.
Bulger 5 of 9 for 60 yards, going for the end zone and throwing it a little behind and over the head of Isaac Bruce, covered by the cornerback Lehan.
Yeah, here's a guy that has quietly a great career as Isaac Bruce. You know, I mean, it's Torrey Holt, and we know about Marshall Faulk, and it's a quarterback situation, but Isaac Bruce, I think, runs better pass patterns than anyone in football. And I would say that as ever, I mean, I think you take all the wide receivers that have played, and I think you can say who runs the best pass patterns, and Isaac Bruce would be in that group.
Isaac Bruce playing with the Rams so long, he played with them in Los Angeles, and they left there after the '94 season. 2nd down and 10. Faulk on the toss. Gets a block, cuts it back inside, close to a 1st down at the 8-yard line. Marshall Faulk, who just, and you mentioned it before, John, there can't be a guy in the league who reads his blocks any better than this guy.
No, and it was a perfect play because you're going to see the Browns are going to blitz in the middle. See, so they pack that whole middle in and then get Marshall Faulk to the outside. His old college buddy, Robert Griffith, ran right by him. Watch old 24th Griff come right by him there. In fact, Robert Griffith and Marshall Faulk went to San Diego State together. And when Marshall Faulk came for a visit, Robert Griffith was his host. Robert Griffith had a shot at Marshall Faulk. He was coming across on flow. Marshall Faulk cut back, and old Griff just kept on going.
Meanwhile, there's an injury stoppage here. That's Earl Little, who was down, and Little is the guy who intercepted that pass, but he looks like he's okay. Of course, when you get hurt in a situation like this, you have to come out for at least one play.
Yeah, anytime the trainers come onto the field, or doctors, or anyone comes from the sideline onto the field, then that player has to go out.
Now, like an open wound, you see the Rams going to that spot where you have Chris Crocker, a rookie from Marshall, who comes in to replace him. You saw Butch Davis trying to get the attention of his defensive unit, and in fact, he doesn't like either the personnel or how they were going to line up, especially in the absence of Earl Little. He wants to make sure they're aligned properly. So
they had 12 guys out there, I think.
Yeah,
they did.
They may need them. Than one. LeBron James of the Cavaliers is at the game. There he is, and he'll be our halftime guest. We'll talk to LeBron in the booth at the half.
How can you be that young and be that good?
And that rich?
Well, if you're that young and you're that good, you will become that rich. If you can do the things with that young and that big and that good that he can do.
Well, we'll talk to him at the half. His team in action tomorrow against Toronto. Meanwhile, with that timeout by Cleveland, when you take a timeout, you can buy the injured players way back into the game. It doesn't have to be out for a play, and that's what they've done. You saw Earl Little walk off the field. They would have had to keep him out for a play. Butch Davis now going over things with Tom White. But when you take a timeout, you can put the guy back in the game, and so Little is back in the game. I don't know what they were discussing there, whatever it is. Davis wasn't happy about it, but it doesn't involve, it shouldn't involve Little coming out of the game. Now White's going to come over and go over things with Martz. We're being told that White is telling both coaches on the replay challenge earlier, Martz will not lose a timeout because part of the original ruling was that Little was down by contact.
St. Louis was not charged a timeout since the ball was respotted at another location.
Well, so here's the deal. I mean, this is like, writing a book.
Explain it to me why they just figured it out now.
I mean, that's the joke of this thing. That play happened, I don't know, not on the game clock, but on your watch 10 minutes ago. Even only 1 minute of game time. Now they're filling you in on that. In the meantime, you got a 1st and goal at the 8-yard line. Go figure. That same play they ran before with such effectiveness, not quite as effective. That toss where it looks like Falk's going one way, comes back the other way, and he's tackled by Andre Davis.
Yeah, it's that old-fashioned Joe Gibbs counter tray play, but instead of handing off, it's a little flip. And so it's like it's going to be a toss to the right, and then you counter back away from where you were tossing to.
Just to clean up that challenge thing, John, in effect, it counts as an upheld challenge because March was right on one part of it, wrong on the other. So a little housekeeping here, which we seem to do a lot of these days. 2nd and goal at the 8-yard line. Bolger knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Orpheus Roy, having a pretty good half, knocked it away.
And that's where he's getting the push. Orpheus Roy, again, is getting the push right up the middle. You're going to see him. He's right over the center here, and you just get the push, and you push the center right back into the quarterback, work over the guard, and then when you can't get any deeper towards the quarterback, the last thing you do is just get up in the air, get your hands up, make them throw through you, take away a lane.
3rd and goal now. Rams, who had a 3-0 lead early, trailing by 4 out of the shotgun. Great protection. Look at that time. Bolger all night long, and then the defense makes the play as Robert Griffith cuts in front of Dane Looker, but a flag is down.
But that was still a heck of a play by Robert Griffith, because that was one of those things that you call a coverage play. I mean, he just had so much time, but there was no one open. He had to hold it, and when he finally threw it, there was Robert Griffith.
And when you have that much time, and that line does that good of a job, how can they do it without holding? And that is the call. So it's holding against the Rams. So now it can either be 4th down and goal or 3rd down and goal from the 18-yard line.
Holding. Number 67. Offense. Penalties decline. 4th down.
Andy McCollum. They don't want to give him another chance, even though the field goal would be longer.
No, and I think that's right, too. I don't think you want to give these receivers and that quarterback another shot at you down here.
26-yard attempt for Jeff Wilkins. That is his 31st field goal, and the season still has 3.5 games to go. That's a new Rams record. 31 field goals this season, and Cleveland is up by just 1, 7-6. Well, Jeff Wilkins to kick off. 7-6. Cleveland up by 1. Lee Suggs, the Virginia Tech rookie, out to the 31-yard line. 1st down.
So anyway, so last Friday, I'm doing the New York Times crossword puzzle.
No.
And I'm sitting on the bus doing it, and I'm reading the paper, and then I read the front page, and I get sports. So I finally get here, and it said sportscaster Michael. And so I figured, here's where I started. I went like this. Well, you've come a long way. In 1970, when this started, you were in Hawaii, and now you're in the New York Times crossword puzzle.
That is some sort of validation. I'm not quite sure what. It's from the 31-yard line. The handoff goes to Suggs. But the bigger question is, with a flag down, were you able to complete the rest of the puzzle?
Yeah. That's the toughest thing is getting started. So when I got that point, I got that 10 down, because I always start with 10. Especially the Friday after Thanksgiving. So I started there and just worked from that point on.
So that was 10 years as a coach, as a holding call.
Number 72, offense. It's a 10-yard penalty. Remains 1st down.
Ryan Tucker.
I didn't finish it all. I mean, I started to finish it, and then I got like half, but I'm still working on it. So tonight, after this game, I'm going down to Florida. So on the way to Florida, I'll get the other half. But I got off to a good start, a good base or a good foundation, as we say.
The over-under is you'll finish it by Knoxville. That's what I'm guessing. 1st and 20, and that ball is caught by Quincy Morgan, but he is pummeled by Tommy Polley for no gain, maybe a little bit of a loss.
And one of the things that the Rams defense wanted to do was get speed, and one of the places that they wanted to get it was at their linebackers, and they got Robert Thomas in there, and they got his speed, Tommy Polley, and with speed, he can do things like this. You look at a linebacker, and you can't put a lot of linebackers out in space around the slot, but you can Tommy Polley.
2nd down and 21 from the 20-yard line. Holcomb staying in there, throws, caught. That's Dennis Northcutt. Kelly Holcomb, here's a guy undrafted, Middle Tennessee State. Tampa signs him as a free agent, waives him, re-signs him, waives him, so he goes back and forth. Then he goes to Indianapolis, gets a little bit of playing time. Then they draft Peyton Manning, so he doesn't play you down for 3 years. Then he comes here, and he's the backup to Tim Couch. And then when Couch got hurt last year, he showed a little something and then made his mark in that playoff game. And there is Couch, the #1 choice in 1999 when this team was reborn, just wearing the hat on the sideline. 3rd down and 14. Holcomb caught 34-yard line, trying to get the first down is White, but he'll be shy by about 5.
The Rams are using a lot of dime defense or 6 defensive backs, and when they do that tonight, Adam Archuleta is playing linebacker in that, so he plays strong safety in their base. And then when you get in these long yardage situations, and the Rams have been playing a lot of dime tonight, you have Archuleta there. Instead of being a strong safety, he's playing linebacker. In fact, with the 22 plays, they've used that defense 10 times tonight.
Now Gardocki to punt. And the left-footed kicker spins one, short kick, and it comes back and rolls out of bounds at the 29-yard line. Another good kick there, only 35 yards. And the score 7-6. Here comes Bolger. Let's take a look at where he has been in his brief career. The first 13 starts of his career, 11-2, counting last year and this year as well. However, in his next 4 starts, look at that. He had 4 TDs and 10 picks. Only a 62.7 rating, but the Rams had enough to win 3 of 4. Then last week, he had a big day against Minnesota. So there was a lot of consternation in St. Louis and controversy. Should Warner come back in? What are you going to do? Is this guy good enough? Blah, 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 blah. And meanwhile, Kurt has just remained on the sidelines for 3 months now. He hasn't played in a game since the first Sunday in September.
And I think that, that Mike Martz was going to make a change a couple weeks ago and didn't. And I think it was either the smartest thing he did or the luckiest thing he did, because he didn't get into that quarterback controversy at this point in the season.
From the 29-yard line, set up the screen to Marshall Faulk. It's a little screen block and turns it into a nice gain out to midfield, thrust out at the 50-yard line by Chris Crocker and Earl Little after a 21-yard screen pass pickup.
You talk about Mike Martz being a mad scientist. He loves to do things like this. This play here, he goes 4 wide receivers, spreads you out, just has one guy in the backfield, Marshall Faulk, runs everyone off, and now when you get a screen out there in front, all the other guys will run up because you had 4 wide receivers, and Marshall Faulk gets a big run at you.
Ball right at midfield. Lamar Gordon now comes in. Faulk takes himself out once in a while when he needs a break. Such is the case here. Gordon, second-year guy out of North Dakota State, stays in the block. Bolger in trouble. And that'll count as a sack at the 49-yard line. Chris Crocker, the safety, comes in to sack him. More on the Warner situation. Lisa, what do you know about that?
Well, I had an interesting conversation with Kurt Warner the other day about the fact that he didn't want to go in on that Chicago game because he felt very strongly that the Rams franchise had made a very clear determination on who they wanted their #1 quarterback to be. And he felt, look, they made that decision, so they would have to live with that. Kurt said that Mark needs to learn how to win when he's not at his best, and he needs to learn how to play through his struggles. He said that the Rams need to stick with their #1 quarterback regardless of who that quarterback is.
And we talked a little bit about that with Mike Marsh last night, and you know, Mike was surprised, because you would think when you tell a guy you're coming into the game, he's going to go, yeah, I'm ready.
Well, and Mike March took it as an unselfish act by Kurt Warner. And I don't know whether it was Kurt Warner's unselfish
There's no
act.
challenge on this play. The buzzer went off. It's a malfunction.
Okay.
Poor old Tom White, man. His face is getting redder and redder. He looks like Rudolph down there, but
I think he's hearing things.
Just having a heck of a lot of problems. But you know whether that was Kurt Warner or whether it was Mike March, you know, not changing quarterbacks, I think that was big, because now they have momentum going. They're getting on a roll, and they don't need that quarterback controversy thing. I mean, I really believe this. They have to put one in there, and from this point on, regular season, if there's no injuries, they have to stay with the one that's in there.
Stay with them, and because this is a team that could very well win the Super Bowl. 2nd and 11. The Rams and the Eagles, the cream of the crop at the moment in the NFC. Draw, Falk to the 43-yard line. You know, when you look at Warner, of course, he had the all-time Cinderella start to his career after the Trent Green injury in '99. They have the exact same record, but Warner, as you can see, especially the third line down where Bulger has 6 more TDs than picks, Warner had 28 more and a 20-point higher pass rating. So, I mean, Warner, that's all going back, in effect, to the '99 season when he led the team to the Super Bowl out of nowhere.
And Warner was a great quarterback then. I mean, there was a period of time where Warner was the MVP in this league, and he was playing that position as well as anyone played it.
Take a break. 7-6 Cleveland. Back in Cleveland, the last time we were here in '95, the Browns were threatening to lead, but nobody really believed it. The town at that point was consumed by the Indians, who were going into postseason play, and wound up going to the World Series and losing to Atlanta. And then they announced they were moving in November, and they were on a Monday night game the following week in Pittsburgh, and Modell left town and took the Browns with him, and they became the Ravens. And that's caught on 3rd and 3 by Dean Looker, and they turned a short yardage situation into a big game down to the 11-yard line, and Looker, who was slightly shaken up before, will need a little more attention here after the 31-yard gain.
Boy, and Dane Looker sure had a burst there. I mean, this is the thing that they didn't have a couple years ago, is that 3rd and 4th wide receiver. And now they have Looker, who's making plays for him. They get him in the slot, having him come across, and then as he catches it, he really takes off with it. Of course, he didn't end up too well. But you talk about running away from guys and getting separation. Dane Looker did that. Look at Robert Griffith catches him from behind. I think that leg just twisted in ways that leg doesn't twist.
Looker has become their number 3 wide receiver. They have Sean McDonald. They drafted him out of Arizona State, and he's an up-and-comer. And, of course, you've got the 2 guys in Bruce and Holt, who as a tandem are as good as any in the league, but this kid has come along here, and he would be a fairly significant loss to this offense.
Right. You go back to, you know, how the Rams were when they were really proficient, and they had Oz Hakeem and they had Ricky Prohl, so you kind of have to pick your poison, and with Dane Looker, they were getting back to that type of thing. I mean, he was more like the Ricky Prohl, but they had lost those guys, and they just had the 2, and that wasn't enough.
Oh, look at the torquing of the leg. And he'll get assisted, hobbling back to the sideline. And it'll be 1st and 10. Meanwhile, as far as the receivers are concerned tonight, 6 different guys have caught passes, including the tackle St. Clair and a tackle eligible, but they've held Bruce and Holt to just 1 grab apiece.
Yeah, and that has to do with the defense too. I mean, one thing they say that they want to stop the run with 7 guys so that they can always have defenders, you know, extra defenders on those 2 guys.
Look for him here, though. They can't get it to him. Bulger can, so he checks off and hits Marshall Faulk for a small loss. What are they doing with Holt and Bruce? Let's take a peek.
Well, you know that they're going to help on him. And here's Anthony Henry. He's number 37. So he can play the outside wide because he knows that he has help inside. You see if he goes inside, Earl Little, the safety, was sitting there, so he just waits outside. So if Holt runs an outside pattern, he's there. If he runs an in, then Earl Little is there.
Mike Furry will come in as the extra wideout with Looker on the bench. 2nd and 10. They empty the backfield with Falk in motion. The Browns rush 4, and Bolger's going to run, but not very far. Grant Boyer stops him at the 11. It'll be 3rd down.
Bolger was kidding last night. You know, he ran one last week for a touchdown. And he said, if they leave it wide open, he said, I can run it in. He said, but you're not going to confuse me with Michael Vick. I said, no, I don't think anyone ever will. He said, I have a quick one step. His first step, he said, that's quick. From there on, after that first step, I have no quickness or speed whatsoever, and he just showed it.
He has 4 rushing touchdowns, and they'll have to run this play after the 2-minute warning. 120 seconds remaining in a good first half. Cleveland 7, St. Louis 6. Basketball Association. The Cleveland Cavaliers will join us live. Talk about his first couple of few weeks in the NBA.
And Dane Looker's back in. In fact, the Rams are down here, 4 wide receivers, empty backfield. Now they have them all spread out with 5 guys.
5 guys going into the pattern. 3rd and 9. Bolger throws and too high. And they went for Looker, who was double covered in the end zone, and now Wilkins will come on to attempt his 3rd field goal of the night.
This Cleveland defense is doing a good job of putting pressure on Bolger and also of coverage, because I don't feel that Mark Bolger has ever gotten comfortable in this first half. And you see here, it's all about coverage. I mean, he's looking for someone, and that someone that he's looking for is coverage.
So Looker is now the holder as well. He might have had to go to Bolger to hold. Wilkins will try to make his 32nd field goal of the season from 29 yards, and does. Mike Vanderjagt has had a perfect year for Indianapolis. He has 33. 32 now for Wilkins. The league record in one season is 39 by Olindo Mate of Miami in 99. So each of those guys, Vanderjagt and Wilkins, under this full moon, will now have an opportunity to break the mark. And we can tell you that Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Friendly nonstop service all across the country. Southwest Airlines, a symbol of freedom. Circuit City with you. FedEx, you can always rely on the ultimate and reliable shipping. Relax, it's FedEx. And Bud Light, for the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light. John, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, located next door.
That's where you went, didn't you?
I went yesterday, and it's just, you put the headphones on. You remember the Bo Brummels of old,
Yeah.
They were a group. People thought they were from England. They were actually from San Francisco. And well, Wendell, our man, he said, you can call up anything. There it is.
There it is. So you really didn't have to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I just call up and get it right here.
Go down to the truck, and there's Wendell. Wilkins fielded by Lee Suggs at the 9-yard line. And Suggs brings it back to the 31-yard line. LeBron James, and we'll talk to him at the halves. He's played 20 games now in the regular season for the Cavs. There are his numbers: 16.5 points, almost 7 rebounds, and 6.4 assists. So how does that compare to some other guys? Take a look at this. When 2 other guys started their career, the only players to start their career and do a little bit better would be Oscar Robertson and Magic Johnson, 2 guys you may have heard of. So Mr. James, even though people are picking him apart and parsing every move, statistically is in fantastic company. That pass is caught by Darnell Sanders, the tight end, and that's a gain of 7, and they're going to move quickly here. They have 2 timeouts remaining.
Yeah, and they tried to do that same thing on Leonard Little's side, is get a blitz on his side and free him, but the Browns blocked it.
2nd and a deuce, and the flag is thrown. It may not have been set. White to the 46-yard line, and it will be false start.
Well, Tom White's just coming off a suspension. He's getting close to maybe going on another one, huh?
Trying to hitch a ride here. He's getting buzzed.
False start. Number 72. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Ryan Tucker. Davis, I think, contending. My guys were set. I know we're running the hurry up, but they were set. 2nd and 7. Well, it looks like one of their receivers is lined up in front of the ball here. First guy in the set right there. Are they going to call it? No flag, and it's caught at the 41-yard line by Dennis Northcutt.
Yeah, I was talking about this Cleveland Brown offense and said the one guy that I really liked is Ryan Tucker. And the other people as a group are the wide receivers. I mean, the Quincy Morgan, the Andre Davis, Dennis Northcutt here. This is a good group. I mean, that's kind of the strength of this offensive group is one tackle and the wide receiving core.
From the 41-yard line. And that is incomplete, and Cody almost came in for the pick. John, you're talking about the wide receivers, which leads us to Kevin Johnson, who'd been their top receiver since they were reborn as the expansion Browns in '99. But Butch Davis and the organization just ran out of patience with him and in effect fired him, and he winds up in Jacksonville.
Yeah, and I think that as some of these younger receivers came along and they were better and they were beating him out and he wasn't getting as much playing time, and then things just got worse and worse till they had to just get rid of him.
Be careful if you're wide out K. Perry or Johnson these days. 2nd and 10 from the 41-yard line. Picked off in the flat by Aeneas Williams, and Williams, who will someday wind up in Canton down the road in the Hall of Fame, takes it in for a touchdown. Aeneas Williams, who ran a fumble back 90 yards last week, runs a pick back on a very badly conceived throw, 46 yards for a touchdown.
You know, defensive players can dominate games, and I'll tell you, Aeneas Williams is one of those defensive players. What they did is they faked the blitz, and I think they read the blitz coming, and they backed out of it and didn't come.
Now Wilkins for the point after, as St. Louis's lead is 8 going on 9. And it's now 16-7. And so the Rams turn it around after the Browns had held the lead for much of the first half.
Yeah, that's what a sly veteran will do. Watch Aeneas Williams here. See, he's faking like he's going to come on a blitz. And then he's going to drop out. You see, they read blitz, and then they go to their read. They try and hit that slant. They thought Aeneas Williams was coming, and Aeneas Williams was in that spot that they go to the read for the blitz. And he comes here, he fakes like he's going, and then he backs out, and he's right in that lane for the slant.
Aeneas Williams last week set an NFL record, kind of an obscure record, most yards returning fumbles, 264. And now a pick here.
See, and you see here, that's why Kelly Holcomb, he was aware that early when he wasn't aware of Aeneas Williams coming off that slot, he did that to him. This time he was aware. He said, he's coming. I'm going to get rid of it quickly and hit that slant. Aeneas Williams fakes it, drops back, picks it off, runs it in for a touchdown.
And that's the 54th pick of his career, much of which was spent with mediocre to worse Arizona teams. 13 touchdowns total for him. Interceptions, fumbles, and other returns. And this is run back by Suggs to the 34-yard line. So Cleveland will get the ball back. 2 timeouts at their disposal and 58 ticks on the clock.
We were talking about that dime package, and in that dime package today, they've gotten 2 sacks and an interception for a touchdown. So that's been a very good thing for him. I mean, Archuleta, instead of being safety, is up there as linebacker. Cody's in there, and it's a thing, and then they can put Aeneas Williams on the slot instead of the safety, and they're putting a lot of pressure on this Brown offense.
Jason Sehorn playing in the nickel and dime packages for St. Louis. The former New York Giant is in the game. Holcomb has to step up and hit White, and then White trying to get out of bounds, and Jeremetrius Butler gets him out of bounds at the 38-yard line.
And we talk about this Ram defense and Lovie Smith and the job that he's done with them, and the big thing that you're impressed with him all the time is how maybe sometimes you can push, maybe sometimes you can get a little run against them, but they're always hustling, and they have great speed on defense at every position.
2nd and 7. Holcomb fires over the middle, intercepted again by Williams. And Aeneas is inside the 30, stays in bounds, and Aeneas Williams is out of bounds at about the 20-yard line, and that's where they will spot it. And boos cascade along the lakefront.
I think in all my career as a broadcaster, I've seen one defensive player take over and dominate a game, and that was Lawrence Taylor. This could very well be the second one. And you watch him again. He's in the slot. He's just gonna sit back here and read the quarterback. You see him going back, and then he gets the jump, goes in front of it, takes it away, and then just brings it down here. The early one we saw him fake a blitz and go back and take away the slant. There he just dropped back and played zone.
Now Bulger, and they won't settle for 3 if they can help it. It's caught by Mike Furry, who tries to roll out of bounds and can't. They have 2 timeouts remaining, and they have to use it right here. And it looked like Bulger thought maybe he'd gotten out of bounds, and then when he saw the official wind the clock, he said, I've got to use it right here. 28 seconds remaining. The Rams, when they win the turnover battle, they are almost impossible to beat. Because since Mike Martz came to St. Louis as the offensive coordinator under Dick Vermeil in '99, when they win that battle, perfect. When they're even, 12-2, which is great. When they lose the turnover battle, they're still pretty good, because when you lose the turnover battle, you normally lose the game. But look at the Rams. They're still 14-21.
Yeah, the thing is they give the ball away more than anyone else, but then they also take it away more than anyone else.
38 picks for St. Louis this season. They're averaging 3 per game coming into the game tonight.
Look at his 2 picks. That first one was the one where we showed where he was faking the blitz, and they tried to throw a slant, and he just dropped right back into it. This one is just playing zone, just sitting back and reads everything, is reading his eyes, just gets a jump on it and gets in front of everything.
I think I said 38 picks, 38 takeaways. And Tim Couch is going to warm up. Remember, he came in last week against Seattle, and on the second series he was hurt. They thought it was pretty serious. It was a knee injury, but they took a peek on the MRI. He came up fine, but he's warming up on the sideline. 2nd down and 6 now at the 16. And Bulger going for the corner of the end zone, has Bruce for the touchdown. He got position on Griffith, worked his way to the outside, and goes in for the score.
I tell you, we talk about Bulger. He doesn't have a strong arm, but he throws with anticipation. And Isaac Bruce is a great route runner, and he ran a great route there. That was a corner route. He starts up, then he starts like he's going to the post, then he goes back to the corner. And just before he breaks out of the post to the corner, the ball was in the air.
Holcomb furious with himself. 2 picks, 2 TDs, one by Williams himself, the other leads to it. And the extra point by Wilkins is good, and all of a sudden, just like that, a small Cleveland lead has turned into a 16-point deficit on the field goal and 2 touchdowns.
If you want to be a route runner, watch this. You sell to the inside, then you go back to the outside, and just as he made that cut, the ball was in the air. You see Mark Bulger? He anticipates, he knows where he's going, and he throws it before he gets there, before he goes there.
You know, John, you wonder if it makes a difference whether you do it on grass or turf. I asked Mike Marsh last night, I said, you game plan any differently, you know, knowing you've got the dome on one side and then the grass on a cold night, and who knows if it'll be a wet night? He said, nah, not at all. Same route, same game plan.
And I kind of believe that. I mean, Mike Martz is that kind of guy that, you know, you can just throw the ball every down. It doesn't make any difference what kind of turf or wherever you are. But I will say this. I do believe that they're better on artificial turf indoors.
And that's why they'd love to get home field advantage. If they win tonight's game, they'd be 10-3. So is Philadelphia. But if the season ended tonight, Philadelphia would own the #1 spot, meaning they'd have home field advantage.
Just think of the Rams. You know, the Super Bowl is being played in Houston indoors.
Yeah. Maybe indoors. They could open the roof because it's a convertible, and Chad Mustard brings it to the 41. I think the league's going to make a decision and Fred Godelli's telling me they already made the choice. It's going to be closed. So what if it's 70 degrees and sunny?
It's going to be indoors. So I think knowing that, and it's so important for the Rams to win out here and maybe hope for an Eagle loss so that they can have home field throughout and then play indoors in a Super Bowl. That would be a pretty good formula for the Rams.
So here comes Couch. You love him, you hate him, you love him, you hate him. Now they love him. The other guy throws 2 picks, so you love him again. From the 41-yard line, the #1 overall pick out of Kentucky in '99 sets up the screen to White, and White gets up to the 48-yard line, and a flag is thrown.
The question is, are they going to love him for long? That's the thing, and then this is a problem. I mean, the Cleveland Browns have a lot of problems, but one is when you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have any. Talking to Butch Davis about it yesterday, and he said that it's really unfair to the quarterbacks because we really don't have an offensive line or a running back. Yeah, but you've had both of these quarterbacks
2 fouls
long
on the
enough.
Play. Ineligible. Number 60, downfield, 5-yard face mask, defense, penalties offset, replay first down.
John, that'd be a great title for a song. How long will you love me?
If you're a Cleveland Brown quarterback, you mean?
Well, if you're Otto Graham, they'll love you for a long time.
Don Shula told me that Otto Graham was the best. I was asking him who was better one time between Johnny Unitas and Otto Graham, and he said without blinking, Otto Graham.
Boy, was he something. Here's White on a draw, and that's going to take us down to the end of the half. And the crowd was happy until about 2 minutes remained in the half. But then 2 picks by Holcomb. Browns get booed off the field, and St. Louis leads 23-7. Now coming up, 7 days to Monday night with the St. Louis coaching staff, and LeBron James will join us in the booth after this message from the NFL and a word from our ABC stations.
Okay, guys, here's the play. Let's run 33 slant, I-4.
7, and the Rams will get the ball as the second half commences as Phil Dawson will kick it away for Cleveland. Back to receive is the rookie Arlen Harris. Played his college ball, Charlottesville, University of Virginia. Temperature mid-30s at game time. Clear skies. Here we go from Cleveland. Quarter number 3. 9-yard line. Harris spins his way at the 20. Taken down to the 23, and Tom White's crew throws a flag here.
It's going to be interesting what adjustments the Cleveland Browns made at halftime, because most of the time the Rams played them in that 6 defensive backs with Archuleta as a linebacker, and it didn't look like they got it figured out, and that's why they were throwing the interceptions.
First half numbers right here. And the key, of course, as it is in so many games, right there. 3 Browns turnovers, and the Rams have outgained them 197 to 139. Again, Cleveland started out with James Jackson running the ball effectively. Couch is warming up. He'll stay in the game. They replaced Holcomb at the end of the first half, but they lost James Jackson. Of course, we talked about the William Green suspension, and now they're down by 16. Apart from that, life is rosy. Marshall Faulk, gain of 1, second down and 9. How are the Rams big guys have been doing tonight? Mark Bolger. Not blowaway numbers, but they're pretty good, all things considered. 132 yards, 10 of 18. Faulk. Marshall has 53 yards rushing. He also has 31 yards receiving. And then Bruce caught that touchdown pass. And there are the numbers on the other side of the coin. Again, with White taking over as the running back. Morgan's caught 3, but nothing really significant there.
And that's a tough thing. As I said, the Rams were playing that dime defense, 6 defensive backs, and the thing you have to do is run them out of that, and the Browns haven't been able to run the ball.
They don't
have a runner.
They don't have a runner, and the Rams, of course, what would a Rams game be without an early timeout? And this one comes with 44 seconds having expired in the third quarter. Let's check in with Lisa.
Well, after the Rams scored 17 points in 90 seconds, a furious Butch Davis ran off the field yelling, "We've got way too many turnovers. That's why I'm starting Tim Couch in the second half." Meanwhile, Mike Martz did not seem too concerned about this. He said, "Hey, we're going to continue doing what we've been doing, keeping pressure on the quarterback no matter who they've got back there." More bad news, however, for the Browns. Defensive end Courtney Brown, he is out with a right arm injury, and running back James Jackson, he is out with a right knee injury.
So they lose their starting running back. They lose Courtney Brown on the defensive line. Mark Word, a third-year guy out of Jacksonville State, comes in to replace him. Word is number 90, and it's second down and 9. Word drops back into coverage. Bulger has time, and he's going to run. And Mark, who ran for only one game all of last season, he's become a running machine this year. 4 rushing touchdowns, tackled there by Boyer.
And he gets up laughing about it because he knows that he's not a runner. You know, we talked about how the Rams got better and where they got better. I'll tell you one place is his right tackle, number 68, Kyle Turley. You know, that they had problems there all last year. At the right tackle, they have a great left tackle in Orlando Pace. The guards are pretty good. They got a new center in Wallaby, but their problem a year ago was their right tackle. They brought in Kyle Turley, and that has really solidified this offensive line.
And of course, with Turley and Pace, that's as good a pair as you'll see in the league. And then Bulger goes down. So you begin to talk about the offensive line, and the next thing you know, Kennard Lang, who played for Butch Davis in college at Miami, gets the sack.
And the thing that they were doing, and they've been pretty effective, this Cleveland Brown team, is when they blitz. You know, they know that they have to put pressure on Bulger, and they have a tough time getting there with 4 guys. So when they do get in a situation, they want to put pressure, just like that last play, they come with a blitz.
Sean Landeta, who's been kicking so long, he played in the Monday night game when Lawrence Taylor broke Joe Theismann's leg in '85. Has a wobbly bad kick that goes out of bounds in Cleveland territory. So the Browns get an initial early break. They'll get the ball on the plus side of the 50. Couch coming in. Can they cut into the Rams lead? 23-7 St. Louis. Or in real life. Oh yeah, Jim's, he's a neighbor. Yep. Call the cops? No, I was going to say that. Just kidding, Jim. Sort of. Tim Couch in the quarterback. And that is White. Close to a first down. They'll spot the ball pretty close to where the yellow line just was at the 32-yard line.
See, we've been talking about this defense that the Rams have been playing the whole time. They've been playing this more than base, and this is what they haven't figured out yet. See, it's 6 defensive back. They have 2 safeties back here. Then they have a corner here. Here's where Aeneas Williams playing. Here's a corner here, and then they have Archuleta as a linebacker. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 defensive backs, and really to get them out of that, you have to be able to run the ball. You can see running lanes there, and you run at Archuleta as a linebacker, but the Browns aren't able to run, so then Lovie Smith just keeps them in this 6 defensive back defense. And as I said, they've been playing that more than they've been playing their base defense.
And John, they'll have an even bigger problem running because Bruce Arians, the offensive coordinator, is going to lose Chad Beasley at least for a little while here. There is Beasley as they work on his leg. And they're very thin, obviously, along the offensive line. Now let's see what happened to Beasley.
Yeah, Chad Beasley's number 68 on the left side, right there in the middle of the screen. Right there. That right knee got bent back. Chad Beasley was a guy that hadn't played offense. He'd never been an offensive lineman. He was a defensive lineman. The Browns took him and made him an offensive lineman, and this is only his 5th game as an offensive player, and he's starting against the Rams.
So he's out. Jeff Fain was their number 1 draft choice, the rookie from Notre Dame. He's out. They lost Ross Verba, the tackle, former Green Bay Packer, earlier this year. And Enoch DeMar, who's a rookie from Indiana, comes in. At the 32-yard line, they run the end around here with Northcutt, getting inside the 30-yard line and forced out of bounds at the 25. So, you know, it's going to be tougher than ever now to run inside on the Rams. So Why not go to the outside, at least with success here?
Well, and it was tough coming into this game because the only offensive lineman on this team that has played every game is their right tackle, Ryan Tucker, and everything else has kind of been makeshift, and now it's makeshift of makeshift, and now they're on that third tier of makeshift. And I'll tell you, it's tough to play this way without an offensive line and without a strong running back.
They've started 9 different offensive linemen this year. And to the 21-yard line, it's a gain of a couple here, making it 3rd down and 1.
You know, and they've always had trouble in consistency of offense this year. The Browns have, and that's what Butch Davis talks about. And I say this, anytime a team is having offensive consistency problem, it starts with the line, that they don't have a line, that something happened, injuries, or they just, I mean, you go to the New York Giants, you go to this team, any team that isn't consistent offensively doesn't have an offensive line.
6 different combinations. Of course, when a team's having problems and you talk to the coach, there's no question that it's the first, or certainly at worst the second thing they mention is the line. Here's White. He stays in bounds. There's a flag down. If it's against the Rams, it's 1st and goal. However, Barry Stokes was leading the way, and they're going to bring this back, the tackle.
Yeah, I think it was Barry Stokes on Adam Archuleta. I think he clipped him there because they fooled Grant Wistrom. You know, they did that to him last week. They did the same thing to him where you fake one side and then just pitch outside, get him to flow and get outside of him. Archuleta got there, and I think he got clipped by Barry Stokes. Remember, we said earlier that Archuleta is
Holding
linebacker.
Number 79, 10-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
Not sure if that was holding, but you'll watch Barry Stokes is number 79, and you'll see him. He's going to pull. He's going to start out here to the left, and he's going to be right there. That looks more like a clip, and it'll look more like a clip live than it does a hold.
Yeah.
That's if you're going to call him on something, you call that right there a clip.
Yeah, it's not a hold.
No. The only thing he had his hands on was the ground. And now Barry Stokes can go and honestly say, hey, I didn't hold him. Coach, I didn't hold him. Official, I didn't hold him. He did something else, so he is right.
3rd down and 11 now for the former Kentucky Wildcat, Tim Couch. Little hard count, and that draws the flag. Couch is going to go down in a heap, but he drew the flag. Tyoka Jackson and Leonard Little both started to come across the line for the Rams. Take your pick.
What they were doing is they were getting ready to run a defensive stunt. You know, that's where the 2 linemen cross.
Number 91, defense, 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
These pass rushers are always trying to get the jump. You know, you don't want to be late. You can't be late off the ball, and you want to get off right on the ball. Just as that ball is snapped, you want to get off. And sometimes in doing that, you get off a little too quickly.
And Little is the embodiment of that type of player right now. Despite missing 4 games with a torn pectoral muscle, he has a chance to lead the league in sacks. 3rd down and 6. Here they come on the blitz. White picks up Archuleta very nicely, and the catch is made by Morgan for the touchdown. So they came on a safety blitz, and White was equal to the task. He got right into Archuleta's face, and then Morgan gets free, beats the corner, Travis Fisher, and it's 28 yards for the touchdown.
I tell you, that was a blitz. They had that dime defense we were talking about. They come on an overload. They come on a blitz. You see the overload down here in the bottom. Here comes a blitz. They pick it up. Tim Couch has time. And if he has time, we said this in the first half, if the quarterback has time, they have the receivers that can beat these Ram defenders deep. And we see it right here with Quincy Morgan.
Butler is the corner on that side. He got by him for the score. And now with a 10-point game, they'll try to make it 8. Couch lining up for 2 at the 2. Throws, slant, knocked away. That time it's Travis Fisher knocking it away, trying to get it into Morgan. So they try to make it a 1-possession game. It's still a 2-possession game. 23-13 St. Louis. Sets up the short field. Couch pays it off on the pass to Morgan. Browns get back in the game. It's 23-13. And Dawson to kick it off, and the wind, which begins to swirl now, blows it off the tee. And it's been a pretty comfortable night, such as it is, at 35 degrees at game time, and it's getting a little cooler and a little breezier.
Yep, and that's when you want to not have to throw if it does get breezy here. But you can see the goalpost, and you see the flags are starting to go pretty strong now, so it's going to be more difficult to throw the ball, especially deep.
Stadium just about completely enclosed. A couple of openings in the corners, but the wind swirls here. Arlen Harris stays in bounds. Nice move at the 30 to pick up about 7 more to the 37. And let's go down to Lisa.
Well, Al, with just 58 short days away from my very own wedding, believe it or not, I got some wedding information before this game so that it could help me hopefully plan my own wedding, because Angie Wagner and Jared Sluzakis were joined in holy matrimony tonight in the dog pound. The bride wore brown, the groom looked fetching, get it? And they had a maid of honor who was the bone lady, believe it or not, who was a lovely affair. And while some of us are looking forward to Ryan and Trista's wedding on ABC on Wednesday, they were beaten to the primetime punch tonight, guys.
And here's Falk. So the question is, Lisa, would you rather get married on the Kona coast or in the dog pound after looking at that?
In the very, very, very warm weather, Al.
You know what I wonder, are they still here? I mean,
that's a good question.
Yeah, we saw the wedding as a part of the honeymoon here.
Well, we're looking. We got our whole gang trying to take a peek, so to speak. John, you never know where the proposals come from.
Oh, Mimi, you're beautiful.
2nd and 2. Meanwhile, Torrey Holt just limped off the field. Here's Falk. That's enough for a first down. He's taken down just shy of the 50 by Brant Boyer. So Torrey Holt is on the Rams sideline, and they take a look at him. And now he's going to come back into the game. So momentary respite. There we go.
What do you think of the kiss?
Well, it's forever. We know that.
I've had enough of it.
The 49-yard line. Backside screen, and he throws that out of the reach of Marshall Faulk, who says, hey, come on, man, you got to hit me. I'm not a flat alone.
Marshall is upset because he knew that, if he can get out there in that open space like he had there, he can do some damage. I mean, he can do some of those things that LeBron James can do with assists.
Bulger, who is such a self-effacing guy, I'm sure said sorry or words to that effect.
Well, watch him here. They have a blitz, and that's a perfect play for the blitz. You let the blitzer go by you, and once you're going to have a big open field there. 2nd
and 10, and that pass is caught by Torrey Holt as he reaches down and takes it before it hits the grass. And there he goes limping again. So we talked about him coming off the field, and he's going to limp off again.
It looks like he's going to come back in. Now watch the timing on this. We'll see Bulger on the right, Torrey Holt on the bottom, and you see the ball is released by Bulger before Torrey Holt even turns his head.
3rd down short 3 with Holt doubled over. 8:20 to go in the 3rd. Rams by 10. Slant caught. Mike Furry, who played his college ball at Kurt Warner's alma mater, Northern Iowa. 1st down.
But did that ball come out of there quickly? I mean, Bulger, that's the old 3-step drop. That ball looked like it came out of there before 3-step. I mean, that was back and boom, that thing was out of there to Furry. Watch it in the 2-box again. Bulger on the right, Furry on the left. I mean, it's 1-2 out of there. That was a quick 3-step drop.
Meanwhile, Holt continues to alternate in and out. He's back in the game, and the pass is caught by Holt, who's gone limping off on 2 of the last 4 plays, and he takes it to the 34-yard line. Torrey Holt is on pace to break Jerry Rice's all-time record, most receiving yardage in a season. At least he was on pace coming into tonight's game. Tonight he's caught just 3 balls for 21 yards. But there it is, Jerry Rice in 95, 1,848. And Holt coming into tonight's game was on a pace to break that.
You know, and I think most people would say that Jerry Rice is probably the best wide receiver that's ever played this game.
A lot of people think that just the best football player. Second down and 6. Bulger gets taken down at the 33-yard line by Mark Word.
That's the thing. When you're a pocket passer and you're not a scrambler, when you're not like Michael Vick, I don't know if you saw him last night. He was amazing last night. But when you're with Mark Bulger, you know, you have to have that clock in your head that's saying, okay, I'm slow, I'm a pocket passer. If I don't have the ball out of here by now, I better go down.
Third down and 5 at the 33-yard line. Pretty key defensive stop here for Cleveland. Trying to keep them out of field goal range, get the ball back, and they can't because it's another big third down conversion to Dane Looker, who went limping off the field before to the 21-yard line. So the Rams receivers keep going in and out, but when it's crunch time, they're there for the catch. 1st and 10.
Right, number 25, Chris Crocker was right there, and Mark Bulger just threw the ball right by him. And, you know, all these passes aren't deep patterns. I mean, the thing, you know, they'll throw the short, they'll throw the screen, then this is about a 12-yard curl. You see, he just comes up, stops right there, and I'll tell you, that is a perfect throw by Mark Bulger. He threw it away from the defensive guy.
Rams began this drive with their own 37. It's 1st and 10. Browns show blitz, and here they come. And Falk gets around the corner. And Marshall Falk with a flag down has gotten into the end zone or close to it, pending the penalty. Kyle Turley was leading the way on the charge. They're going to rule it a touchdown for the moment, but what about the flag?
The Browns came on a blitz. They packed them all inside. That's the second time this game that they had the perfect run called for the defense call.
Did Turley hold? It's coming back. We know that.
Illegal shift. 2 men on the offense moving prior to the snap and not getting reset. It's a 5-yard penalty. Remains 1st down.
So no holding, and the Browns get a huge break here.
Yeah, you see, you can have one man can go in motion, and you can have multiple shifts, but if you shift, then you have to set for 1 second after a shift. You see, they have these 2 guys moving here, and they say that they didn't get set. Now, it's okay, it's okay. Oh, I think that was okay.
Yeah, I don't see 2 guys in motion.
No, he got set, and then there was motion.
Now you've got a whistle. You have a situation here.
Please reset the game
to
clock.
Reset the clock.
5 minutes, 28 seconds.
That's not a reviewable situation.
No, it's just a bad call because, see, now this isn't motion. This is a shift. Now you go shift and you get set. Now one guy can go in motion and no one else is moving while that one guy is motion. Everyone else was set for a second.
Sure. I mean, Looker got set in the slot, and Furry was the guy in motion. 1st and 15. 5.5 to go in the 3rd. At the Browns' 26-yard line. Bulger throws, and it's behind Isaac Bruce. Bulger now 14 out of 24 for 161 yards.
You know, and Mark Bulger was telling us last night that because he doesn't have a strong arm, it's all anticipation. And I think that, you know, you put anticipation and confidence, and sometimes you'll put it in places that it really doesn't belong. It'll get picked off. But he says he has landmarks, and he's throwing to landmarks, and sometimes those landmarks are in dangerous places.
Here's some good landmarks when you have 81 and 80. National Historical Monuments. And Marshall Falk gets taken down by Orpheus Roy as Cleveland defenses that play perfectly, and it will be 3rd down and long.
Well, it wasn't the same defense. Remember earlier they tried that screen out here to Marshall Falk, and he was wide open, but it was against a blitz. That time the Browns didn't blitz, and they played the screen perfectly. You remember the other time they were coming on a blitz, Here you see Marshall Faulk is coming out to the side, and they just all run right down the line. You try and put a triangle around the screen. You have a guy outside, a guy inside, and a guy right on the screen.
Dave Campo, the last 3 years the head coach at Dallas, now the defensive coordinator. And a timeout is taken here by St. Louis. Coming up 3rd and 19.
Forex Motion all-wheel drive. Hill descent assist.
To Miami we go. A good one next Monday night. The Philadelphia Eagles, the red hot Eagles, go to Florida to take on the Dolphins. Key game for both teams. Eagles looking for home field advantage. Miami just trying to get to the playoffs. Giants Saints is the matchup from New Orleans on Sunday Night Football on ESPN. Back inside Cleveland Brown Stadium. 4:42 remaining, 3rd quarter. 3rd and 19. The Rams had to take a timeout, having trouble getting the play call in. So the Rams squander another timeout, and they're down to 1 now for the rest of the game. They have to get to the 11-yard line to convert. A little dump. Faulk gets a block. Faulk gets loose, but not loose enough to the 19-yard line, but at least that puts them in pretty good position for a Wilkins field goal as he picks up 11 yards on the play. And Jeff Wilkins will attempt a field goal, which would be his 4th of the night. He's been successful from 28, 26, and 29. And this one will be about 37 yards. So he's going to seek his 33rd field goal of the season. This will tie the Colts' Mike Vanderjagt for the league lead. And it begins to hook, but it stays true through the uprights to give St. Louis 13-point lead as they've doubled the total on Cleveland. 26-13 St. Louis. It's a live shot. I mean, head south, pal. What are you doing here? I mean, Horace Greeley said, go west, young man.
Oh, because they have good grass here. And these kinds of birds, I'll guarantee you someone is going to call in from somewhere and tell you what kind of bird that is.
Well, the Audubon Society is already on the phone from the 17-yard line. Lee Suggs gets a block and gets run out of bounds up at about the 46-yard line. Sean Thompson, a rookie, through the block, number 51, and a 26-yard run back to bring it back toward midfield.
Sean Thompson makes a block there, and I'll tell you the thing about that is that made those birds get out of there because they were running right where those birds were, and those blocks started to happen. The bird said, I'm getting out of here.
That bird is in Fort Lauderdale right now.
Right. A block like that will knock a bird out of a stadium.
From the 43-yard line. Counts, throws, caught at the St. Louis 40-yard line by Andre Davis, the second-year wideout out of Virginia Tech for 18 yards. So Couch has come on to spark him. Let's check in quickly with Lisa.
Well, Al, the Browns, who've already lost 2 players tonight, are dealt yet another blow. Left guard Chad Beasley was carted into the locker room for x-rays. He rolled up his right ankle, and he will not return.
And that's why they have the rookie Nick DeMar in the game out of Indiana, free agent. Ball at the 40-yard line. 1st and 10. Tim Couch, who's come in to spark this team, gives it to White. He gets around the corner, and Aeneas Williams knocks him out of bounds close to a first down. So last week when Butch Davis brought Couch in off the bench at Seattle, he said, you know, I was trying to catch lightning in a bottle, and then Couch got hurt. Maybe that lightning's coming tonight.
Right, and I was watching Couch the other day. He had a big old brace on his left knee. He didn't even take any of the snaps. He just did some scout stuff, and it always amazes me how these guys like Tim Couch could not practice with this group and then play so well here.
2nd down and 1 from the 31-yard line. And Couch then gets sacked, coughs up the football, and the Rams have it. Pisatino Samoa is the recoverer, and Tyoka Jackson, number 97, got in there. So just when it looked like Couch had given them the spark they need to get back into the game once again, the Rams defensive line and linebackers take over.
Yeah, and here's Tyoka Jackson here. He's playing in Leonard Little's position. He just goes right around Tucker. Watch him here. He gives him shoulder underneath, and he's right there.
There's glory for the individuals who come together for a common goal. You tame the elusive beast of time and space, bringing together offices from every corner of the globe, working in real time, as if shoulder to shoulder. You have the new Microsoft Office system. Go team.
Shopping for your wife?
Yeah, after what happened last year, I need to get her something really nice.
Thank you, sweetie.
Ta-da!
What? You think I'm fat?
No.
You know, we've got a lot of great gift ideas. Movies, digital cameras, plasma TVs.
Plasma? They're thin, right?
Thousands of possibilities. Get yours.
Best Buy.
Hey, big old Michael Strahan, you ain't got nothing. Let me ask you something. How about them Cowboys? I said, how about them Cowboys? Woo! Oh, yeah.
Offensive behavior. Another side effect of hunger. Stop hunger from stopping you. Grab a Snickers, peanuts, caramel, and chocolate.
You forgot your hat!
Hungry? Grab a Snickers.
Monday Night Football from Cleveland is being brought to you by Lowe's, where you'll find all your home improvement needs. Lowe's, improving home improvement. T-Mobile, get more minutes, more features, more service. Lexus, in their passionate pursuit of perfection. And Dell, flexible enterprise solutions that are easy to buy, easy to own, easy as Dell. Bud Light providing the scenics high above Cleveland Browns Stadium. They broke ground here in '97. And the ballpark opened in '99 when the Browns were reborn in the '42. Falk. You know, John, our director, Drew Essenkopf, begging me for weeks now. We have to acknowledge his alma mater, Colgate. They have won 14 straight this year, 20 straight over 2 years. They go to the 1AA semifinals next week against Florida Atlantic. And I bring it up only in the context that coaches love to talk about rookies running out of gas because they play such short college seasons. So if Colgate goes all the way, that's 16 games.
Well, they're going to have a lot of pros. And then you go back to, the days when I was coaching, and I had a Colgate fullback, I think, forever. First Marv Hubbard and then Mark Van Egan. So I reaped a lot of benefits from that school.
From one Raiders to another Raiders. Second down and 10. Bolger flushed out. Looker makes the catch and pulls it in with his toes inbounds up near the 50-yard line.
You know, one of the things every time they get into a passing situation, and this started in the Super Bowl two years ago, the way to play Marshall Faulk is to grab him, not let him out of the backfield. And that's what the Browns did on that last play. You know, you assign a guy to him and you chip him. And as I said, the Patriots did it in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and everyone since has been doing that to Marshall Faulk.
Faulk with 105 yards total from scrimmage tonight. Third and a deuce from midfield. Bolger gets good protection, and then Faulk drops it. Marshall looking upfield as he lets the ball in. And Andre Davis was there, and it's 4th down and 2. He's human.
Yeah. And Marshall knows better than that, too. You know, he was right at that 3rd down marker, and he was looking at the 1st down marker to see where he was going to catch the ball and then where he had to take it to get the 1st down. Up here, he comes out here, and he's starting to look right now. Oh, no, he didn't even turn. He just dropped the doggone thing, didn't he?
Faulk. 4th and 2. Landetta gets the kick away toward the sideline, and it rolls out of bounds up at about the 18. They'll spot him at the 17-yard line. 33-yard punch. So the Rams can't cash in after Cleveland's 4th turnover. And with 1:06 to go in the 3rd, the Cleveland Browns, and it's been LeBron James hopes to change that. They haven't won a title. As White takes it up to the 22. I mean, how poised is I'm sitting next to LeBron James, John, interviewing at halftime, and I feel like I'm interviewing a guy who's 38, not 18.
Yeah, I was talking to him back there before you interviewed him, and I was thinking the same thing, that there's no way that this guy can just have gotten out of high school a year ago. There's no way. And then you watch him play and say the same thing. And then you meet him, you say the thing, and then you hear him interviewed.
Yep.
And all those things, you say that same thing.
He has it together. 2nd down and 4. And White takes it up to the 29-yard line.
Well, I think has it together, but I think you could just stop before together. I mean, he has it. LeBron James has it.
There's the brain trust. Randy Lerner, the son of the late Al Lerner and Carmen Policy. There's Randy Lerner and Carmen Policy sitting off his left shoulder, who was so instrumental in the 49ers' success in the Eddie DeBartolo years there. There's Carmen. And the brain trust of the Browns. They saw this team make a big step forward last year, but now regression this year, at least to this point. And it's the end of the 3rd quarter with St. Louis leading Cleveland 26-13. And ABC's Monday Night Football resumes after this message from our ABC stations.
Now, I hear a lot of guys complaining about double teams. That's one less guy than usual.
The Dolphins' fight for a wild card spot continues as they host the first-place Eagles next Monday night on ABC.
Need better seats to watch the big game? Play Powerball Sunday. Buy any $10 Idaho Powerball Power Play ticket and enter to win an all-expenses-paid weekend extravaganza for 2 to the big game in Houston this February. Win one of 3 incredible prize packages, each valued at $26 grand. Powerball Sunday with Powerball Power Play.
Okay. Are you ready for this? Let's do it. Come on, Gladys, put your back in a win.
Need traction? Traction tires, studs, or chains, or great deals on your winter driving needs, there's only one place to stop before you go. Les Schwab.
You push, you punk.
What are we gonna do? We need TV.
Steve, I have people. People in electronics, telecommunications, people who know wide screens, high definition. I have people who do surround sound.
This is where you find your people, the QuestX Yellow Pages. This is getting all the information you need right when you need it. These are the products that make it happen. QuestX.
So, do your people do room editions?
Scott Dorval, The Weather Authority, only on 6 on Your Side, tonight at 10.
Local news follows the game on ABC, Sports Center on ESPN. Al Michaels, John Madden, Lisa Guerrero. Monday Night Football in Cleveland for the first time since 1995. Browns left here, then went to Baltimore, but the league has ruled that all of the Browns' records and the colors and the name remain with these Browns. And on 1st and 10, they give the ball to Andre Davis on an end around, and he gets taken down by Butler. And John, it's really unparalleled in sports for a team to leave and then all of the records remain with Cleveland. It's a situation where Paul Tagliabue deemed that the Browns should keep the name, keep the colors. The Ravens, it was almost as if they started on their own in '96, meaning the rushing records here are held by Jim Brown, and Otto Graham holds records, and the tradition continues.
Right, and then he said that they will get another team here. It'll be an expansion team, but as you say, they just continued on with the Cleveland Browns traditions and numbers.
So they went 3 years without football, and now this is the 5th year since the Browns were reborn, and White takes it up to the 46. The original Browns, of course, were a phenomenal team who came into the All-America Football Conference. Paul Brown, the founder. So you had the Browns with Paul Brown and, of course, Jim Brown. And was there anybody better out of the backfield? LeBron James honoring Jim Brown by showing up for the interview tonight in an old 32 Cleveland Browns jersey. And then, of course, if you go back on the other side of the field, the Rams were born in Cleveland in 37 and then moved to Los Angeles in 46. So you've got Cleveland against Cleveland. White with a big play here. And so the Browns won't die. He's trying to scramble back into the game. And White gives him a first down to the 34 and a 20-yard pickup.
You know, one thing about Tim Couch, and I noticed this in practice the other day, is he has all the throws. He can throw the ball from all the angles. See, that's a little Rich Gannon-like, where you get a pass rush and you just kind of sling it out there sidearm. I'm not exactly sure what Tim Couch doesn't have or what he has to have, but he says that he's going to start somewhere next year. He's either going to start here or he's going to be with another team and be a starter.
The day of reckoning is here for Couch. It might be a night of reckoning tonight, in fact. 1st and 10. White goes nowhere. Runs into a wall led by Bryce Fisher, 94.
You know what I can't understand? We saw that big play in the last series by Tyoka Jackson. He was playing for Leonard Little, and he's in there now at that left end, and I wonder if there's something wrong with Leonard Little.
Well, Leonard Little has had that torn pectoral muscle as Jackson now comes out, and he's been playing with a brace. There he is. He has a brace under his right arm, or on the armpit.
Right, and he had that last week, and he made the NFC Defensive Player of the Week.
Yeah. 4 sacks. Now White takes the ball to the 28-yard line. What about Leonard Little? Lisa, what do you know?
Well, I talked to him the other day, and about his torn right pectoral. He said it's going to bother him until well after the season's over. Now, although the injury continues to cause him pain, he takes medication after the games. He has not been getting shot up beforehand for pain. He is wearing that shoulder harness. It's going to limit his motion. He won't be able to lift up his right arm for his own protection and to keep that muscle from tearing any further out.
Thank you, Lisa. You wonder if he'll even be back because he's been walking around for a while and hasn't been in the game. 3rd down and 4. Couch from the shotgun. Under pressure, throws. Caught on the run by Dennis Northcutt to the 10-yard line. Tackled by Aeneas Williams. That's an 18-yard gain and sets up a 1st and goal.
Dennis Northcutt is that 3rd wide receiver, always plays the slot. And anytime you get a slot guy, he's going to be a nifty guy. And he's also going to be able to work the middle. You see, here he is. He starts outside, but you see how he makes those moves. He gets the inside. You know, Tim Brown does those kinds of things. That, you know, those guys that make those moves have all those quick things, quicks in and out.
Couch is now 4 for 83 yards. 1st and goal from the 10. Couch gets a nice block on the pickup there. It is caught and taken down. Andre King gets whacked at the 2-yard line by Pisa Tino Samoa. It'll be 2nd and goal at the 2.
He got a heck of a block by his back, Jamel White. If you're going to stand in there, you better get it back that'll step up and block right there. If he didn't have that block, he wouldn't get rid of that ball.
He blocked Jamie Duncan, a middle linebacker, playing for the injured Robert Thomas. 2nd down and goal.
What was impressive about Tim Couch is he saw that coming, felt it coming, but didn't even look at it and just let Jamel White do the work.
2nd down and goal from the 2. Couch rolling, throwing too high in the end zone. Good coverage that time. The tight end Brad Mustard there, and he was also there with Ryan Tucker.
Ryan Tucker plays tight end and goal line is what it is, and they bring in Joaquin Gonzalez. He plays right tackle, and they kick Ryan Tucker in goal line out to a tight end. So he was not a tackle eligible. He was the tackle playing the tight end position, and as he's doing again here.
And eligible in the end zone. 3rd down and goal from the 2-yard line. White picking and threading his way into the end zone. Off a DeMar block. Edith DeMar playing for the injured Chad Beasley provided that escort. And the Cleveland Browns are down by 7 going on 6.
Well, we talked about Ryan Tucker and Joaquin Gonzalez. Here you see Gonzalez is here. Here's Tucker here making a heck of a block there, just collapsing that whole left side.
So White, their number 3 back, their 3rd down back, but playing with Green out, with Jackson out. Now Phil Dawson for the extra point out of Gardaki's hole. And with 10:17 remaining in regulation, Tim Couch has come off the couch to get Cleveland back into the game. 26-20, St. Louis.
When your picture really matters, rely on Verizon Wireless Picture Messaging. It lets you personalize your pictures with text and sound.
Give me what I want or else.
So you can really grab people's attention.
Give me a squirrel. My clippers.
Now you can get unlimited picture messaging for only $4.99 a month.
Can you hear me now? I got my squirrel. Good.
Verizon Wireless. We never stop working for you.
Introducing the all-new Nissan Quest, a revolutionary minivan featuring 5 Skyview windows, an innovative center console, automated side and rear lift doors, and fold-away second and third row seats. Moms have changed. Shouldn't the minivan?
This holiday season, Lowe's is the place for appliances.
My washing machine just died.
Lowe's has over 250 brand name appliances in stock. Take one home today or we'll deliver it tomorrow. Even haul the old one away free. Lowe's has low prices every day, guaranteed. That's our promise. Lowe's, improving home improvement.
Use your Lowe's card and pay nothing until January 2005 on major appliance purchases of $397 or more. Plus, get free delivery on all appliances of $397 or more after mail-in rebate.
Hello, I'm Don Nelson. Coming up right after Monday Night Football, a Boise child is beaten to death. The man charged by police with her death was chosen by the girl's mother to guard her life. That story tonight.
I'm Marshall Falk, and this is my Monday Night.
And number one, no matter if you like it, take it, sit down and write it. And number one. Now let me ask you, man, what does it take to be number one? 2 is not a winner, and 3 nobody remembers. What does it take to be number one?
By Monday night, Marshall Falk, 17 carries, 67 yards, 5 receptions for 38. 10-17 left in regulation. Dawson's kick is a short one. Not what the Browns needed here, but they're able to cover well. And Joey Goodspeed, recently signed as a fullback, can return it only a yard or so. So Tim Couch has Cleveland back in the game. St. Louis has the ball. 26-20 Rams. Now the Rams from their 30-yard line. The crowd in full throat. Back into the game with their club down by 6. Bolger connects. And it's about an 8-yard gain to Cam Cleveland. It'll be 2nd down and 2, the tight end.
I think the Browns have some momentum here. You know, if they can just, if their defense can just step up here and get a stop, you know, and get the ball back, their offense has some things going.
2nd and 1. No doubt Andy Reid and the Philadelphia Eagle coaching staff hoping that Butch Davis's club can pull it off, because right now those two teams in a dogfight. Eagles-Rams for home field. Eagles would still hold the advantage even with a Ram win, but it would be a much bigger advantage with a Ram loss. Falk taken down to the 41-yard line. That's enough for a 1st down. Dalen McCutcheon makes the tackle. Here's the NFC playoff picture right now. Season ended at the moment. Philly and St. Louis would have the byes. Minnesota and Carolina would each host a wild card game, and Dallas and Seattle would be in. They'd be in. Green Bay right on the cusp, and then Tampa Bay, San Francisco, and New Orleans all needing considerable help. Nine minutes left in regulation on 1st down. Bolger. He had Falk in his sights all the way, and it's a 5-yard gain to the 46.
You know who's a heck of a pass protector is Orlando Pace. I mean, you just watch him, you know, and you talk about other guys, but no one ever gets anything against him. I mean, you never get a push from Pace's side. I mean, he's over there. He's the best left tackle, or he's one of the best tackles in all of football at any position. But watch him here. He's just so big and so solid fundamentally that he just takes and just stops his guy, and he allows lanes for his quarterback to throw.
Grew up in this region in Sandusky and went to Ohio State, so a lot of friends watching him live tonight. Marshall Falk takes it across the 50 to the 48-yard line. One thing about Falk you can count on, whether he's hurt or not hurt, he'll hold on to the football. The fumble rate, in other words, times handling the ball per fumble. And you go back through the history of the top 20 rushers all time. Last week we saw Curtis Martin. He's the tops. Marshall is second. Eddie George, we saw him last week, third. These guys coughed it up more than any others among the top 20. Franco Harris, Tony Dorsett, and Eric Dickerson. They would cough up the ball, but of course they're all in the Hall of Fame. 1st and 10 from the 48. And Bolger throws a one-hopper incomplete for Torrey Holt. You know, John, it just dawned on me. The Rams played Cleveland in '87 in a Monday night game here. That was the game where Eric Dickerson was having his problems with management, didn't like his contract, stayed in the dressing room for a lot of the game, and then the Rams were compelled to trade Eric to Indianapolis that week.
Yeah, I was out there the day that they traded him, and that was something that I don't know that anyone in the organization. John Robinson was the head coach of the Rams then, and I talked to him that day, and I know that was the last thing he wanted to do was trade Eric Dickerson or lose Eric Dickerson.
2nd down and 10 from the 48-yard line. Bolger throws, and that is not caught inbounds. Bruce got it, but he was on the chalk.
One thing about Bolger is he's made some plays tonight, but you don't feel that he's ever really gotten into a rhythm. You know, it's not been a real smooth night for Mark Bolger. I mean, he's making plays, he's getting something, but he's getting himself in these situations, and this is a tough one, 3rd and long, because the Browns in this situation have been pretty successful putting pressure on him.
That's a great point, and it really speaks to John, not only to the game, but the whole Ram quarterback situation. 3rd down and 10 from the 48-yard line. And Bolger throws, and that's caught at the 30. Mike Furry, so when he needed to, he comes up big. 1st down, 18-yard gain.
Yep, and it's getting back there and, you know, getting rid of the ball. Pretty good position. Here's Furry. He's the inside guy there. You see, he's running the deep end. They run the first guy short to make him step up so that Furry, the second guy, can get in there deep. And there's the pass protection that allowed Mark Bolger to make this throw.
1st and 10 at the 30-yard line on a very big conversion. Under 7 to play.
They put that short guy in there to bait you, and the Browns took the bait.
Cleveland rotating up, even Griffith blitzing now, and the catch is made by Holt, who had the 1st down initially, and let's see where they give him forward progress, and they give him progress inside the 20, and that moves the chains. 1st down.
The funny thing is, you get into the 4th quarter and you think, okay, the Rams are going to run some time off the clock. They'll run the ball, and then you look down the sideline. Remember, hey, Mike Martz is down there. Mike Martz doesn't get ahead and just run the ball. He's going to throw it, and he's going to keep attacking you the whole game.
And he'll go to the back of the playbook at any game.
Over here.
Bolger milking the clock, but then again, the Rams, when we've talked about it time and time again, they use their timeouts. They've used all of them now. They have none. 6:07 left. Look at that face.
Don't just give a gift.
Give the good life.
This is the year to upgrade your TV, and Sears has all top 8 brands.
The holidays are gonna be big. Real big.
The picture quality is amazing.
So thin. It's got to be the TV of the year.
Come into Sears and get 0% financing until January 2005 and free delivery on all TVs over $499. Like this Apex 43-inch big screen TV for just $699.99.
Give the good life.
Outlaws
miles carrying deadly cargo.
A new strain of Ebola.
Become a threat to the entire nation.
You and Shane are contagious and you could kill thousands of people.
Threat Matrix, ABC Thursday.
Friday night, the great George Lopez is on ABC. All new Friday. TGIF. Is Santa Claus really real? Check with George this week to find out. TGIF this Friday on ABC. So the Rams are out of timeouts. They have a 6-point lead. They have a 1st and 10 at the 19-yard line. Fake to fall. Pressure put on, and down he goes. Kennard Lang, unimpeded to the quarterback. 6-yard sack.
Yeah, that play hasn't worked for the Rams tonight. They've tried that a couple times, that bootleg. You know, you watch some of those quarterbacks, and it works so well, but it's not working well here for Bulger. You watch him, watch Kennard Lang. He gets straight up the field. You see, he doesn't go for that run. He gets straight up. He has a containment, and he contained Bulger on that one.
2nd and 17. Back at the 26-yard line. Fall through the middle. A very hard-earned 5 yards to the 21-yard line, setting up a 3rd down and pretty close to 11.
Yeah, it was interesting last night when you started to talk to Marshall Faulk about fumbling, and he said, I don't talk about that. I don't think about that. And then he finally did. And he said, you know, guys that fumble a lot think about it a lot. He said he never thinks about it. And I believe that.
I think Johnny was afraid I was putting the kibosh on him.
No, I know he did. Yeah. You put the kibosh on him.
3rd down, 12 from the 21. They're already in Wilkins field goal range here. Trying to get closer. Bulger protected well, and then the pass was deflected and incomplete. It was deflected. It looked like Kennard Lang might have gotten in. And so now Wilkins comes in for a very important field goal to try to turn this into a 2-possession game. And it will be about a 38-yarder, with the wind now swirling much more so than it has been at any point tonight.
We thought it was going to be Courtney Brown working over here on Kyle Turley, but Courtney Brown has not been in there, but Kennard Lang has been raising a little heck over there.
It'll be a 39-yard attempt into a swirling wind. Looker to put it down. His 5th field goal of the game. Will it be good? No. So Wilkins, who had been perfect through his career on Monday Night Football, it's the first field goal he's missed under the lights. And it was a big one because Cleveland is still down by only 6. Field goal attempt. Thus the 29-yard line is where Cleveland begins this drive. Looking ahead, they have all of their timeouts and the 2-minute warning, and White has a gigantic hole through the middle and takes it to the 45-yard line, tackled by Butler and Archuleta after a 16-yard gallop.
And they started to get a little running going here, so that got the Rams out of that 6 defensive backs, and they're back in base, and they just get the base this time. Look at that over pursuit. They get the pursuit all going to the right. They cut off the left side, and look at this hole.
And White, normally the 3rd down back, 4th-year guy out of South Dakota, has picked up 100 yards tonight. That's 101 on 15 totes. Couch hit, drop, sack. Tino Isamoa, their number 2 draft choice out of the University of Hawaii. Coach can only shake his head.
Well, they always talk about the right side, you know, a right-handed quarterback, left side, left. But if the quarterback is right-handed and he's looking to the left side, then his right side becomes his backside. And that's exactly what happened there. Tim Couch was looking left, and it came from his right.
Now Leonard Little, who's been in and out of the second half, is back in at end number 91. And they're going to give it to White, and White gets crushed by Grant Wistrom at the line of scrimmage, and the crowd hates that call. It'll be 3rd down and long.
And we talk about Little and how he gets down the line of scrimmage on a run, but Grant Wistrom gets down the line of scrimmage as well as any defensive end. In fact, sometimes too quickly. That's why they get that play where they fake inside and pitch outside on him. There's Leonard Little right now.
3rd down, 15. It's not a 4-down situation. If they were out of timeouts, you could say, yeah, but they have all 3 plus the 2-minute warning. 3rd and 15, and Couch is going to step up, chased by Little, Still on his feet, and then finally he's out of bounds, but well short of the first down up at the 48-yard line. So now Davis with Couch a little gimpy coming back.
I think Couch hurt himself.
Yeah. Remember, he had the knee thing last week in Seattle. And now the crowd doesn't like the call because Davis is going to call for the punt, but I think it's a very good call because he has all of his timeouts. He can stop the clock 4 times, including the 2-minute warning. And I think it's better to do it this way than to go for it on 4th and 8.
I agree with you, and I agree with Butch Davis. What they're doing right here is the play.
Gardocki, that's a good kick. Fair catch is called for, but he's going to let it roll. And the Rams get a nice little break because it goes end over end into the end zone. 52 gross, but only 32 net. And now the Rams will have it at the 20-yard line. So 2:46 left. The Browns with all of their timeouts. But they have to stop the Rams. Always a tough task. St. Louis by 6. Wondering about the newlyweds. Are they still here? That is a live shot.
I was wondering where they went on honeymoon.
Maybe they're back.
I just found out they're staying here. This is a honeymoon. What a wedding.
Maybe they already went to like Ashtabula and came back.
No, they've been in the dog pound the whole time.
Go home, young lovers.
It'll be a day they'll never forget, I'll guarantee you.
So they're still rooting their Brownies home, but their Brownies need a stop here. 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line. And there's action up front, and the whistle stops the play.
You know, the Rams have an interesting formation. They just used it here. It's an unbalanced line where they take their left tackle, Orlando Pace, and they bring him over on the right side and leave their right tackle there, too.
Number 70, offense, 5-yard penalty, remains, 1st down.
St. Clair.
Here they do. Here's their right guard. Here's their right tackle. Now here's their left tackle that comes over on the right side. See, Pace comes over here, so they have guard, tackle, tackle.
I didn't see St. Clair move an arm hair there. 1st and 15. And in the backfield, that's a big play by Gerard Warren. And now Cleveland's going to take a timeout. It's the perfect time here because you had a 1st and 15, and then they throw him for another loss here. So the Browns take a timeout with 2:36, and they'll take their timeouts if they can on this side of the 2-minute warning.
You know, and that was one of the things the Browns always talk about is we need big plays from Gerard Warren. You know, he has to come up big. There he is right here. They wait here. No one blocks him, though. I mean, you have to make a play when no one blocks you, but they just go, and he gets a penetration, hits that gap, and looks what he finds. Look at this. He just runs right through there. No one blocks him.
Loss of 5 for Marshall Faulk. His worksheet tonight is 21 carries for 75 yards.
You know, they were supposed to be dominant guys, though. I mean, Gerard Warren was supposed to be a dominant player. You look third overall pick. Courtney Brown was supposed to be a dominant player, and they kind of play, but they're not dominant. I mean, they don't, you know, take over a game at the line of scrimmage. And if you're going to do it, Gerard Warren, now is the time you want to do it. This play.
In a situation like this, and you know, Temp Couch in the same situation. I mean, it'll be a moment of truth for Couch as well if they get the ball back. 2nd down and 20 now from the 10-yard line.
There's that unbalanced line again, unbalanced to the right.
Faulk to the open side of the field, and he gets about 5 yards back, and now the Browns will take another timeout. Earl Little makes, and there's a flag, so they don't have to take a timeout. There's a penalty, and it's going to be against the Rams. It's going to be a hold, and I would suspect that they will decline it because they don't want to give Cleveland another down. If they're smart, then they're going to decline it.
I mean, they don't want to give the Rams another down to take a shot at them. Because I would think they would take a shot, too. And, you know, the other thing, you can think about stopping him here, but the other thing you can think about is getting him in his 3rd and long.
Number 80, offense. Penalties decline.
And a turnover.
I would give them fewer plays, which is what they're going to do right here.
Right, because it's still 3rd and 13.
Right, and also the big thing there, and it was very big because they didn't have to take a timeout because of the penalty. So that saves that very precious timeout. 3rd and 14. The catch is made on the run by Isaac Bruce, and Bruce would have done them a huge favor by getting out of bounds, but he doesn't. And Dalen McCutcheon makes the tackle, and now Cleveland will take another timeout. So that's their second. They still have one. They still have the 2-minute warning, and they're going to get the ball back in what should be at least fairly decent field position, barring a tremendous punt. Meanwhile, going back to what's been happening tonight, the Rams went to the back of the playbook very early in the game. Lined up for a field goal, which turned out to be Looker hitting Wilkins. That got a first down, brought him closer for Wilkins to make it 3-0 on this field goal. Early lead went to the Rams, but then the Browns were able to come back and Holcomb in the back of the end zone to Heinrich for his first NFL touchdown. And then the keys at the end of the first half. The Aeneas Williams interception, which gave them the lead on the run back, or extended the lead. Then he intercepted another pass, and they hit Bruce to make it 23-7. But then Couch comes off the bench. Morgan gets him back to within 10. White then gets into the end zone, and it's 26-20 with Landeta into punt on 4th down. And Landetta's kick will back Northcutt up to the 29-yard line, and Northcutt down the sideline, across the 50, and into Ram territory at the 46-yard line.
Dennis Northcutt has made a lot of big plays for these Browns today. Right there as a punt returner, and that's the kind of guy he is. And then as a slot receiver, we saw him get first downs, do those kinds of things. No, there's no lead that's safe in this league anymore, is there?
No.
I mean, you look at one team is way up, like the Rams. They have momentum. They're on a roll. The Browns are way down. 4 and 7. Nothing's going right. They're all banged up. And look, here we are.
It's the old mantra. Nobody knows anything. Who knows who's going to win any game anymore? 1st and 10 at the 47-yard line. Couch has it tipped at the line of scrimmage. 2nd down and 10. That's Tyoka Jackson with the tip.
Yeah, he's playing inside now because Leonard Little's back in the game. Leonard Little is back at his left defensive end position. And that's still a pretty good matchup. I mean, you know, we have Ryan Tucker there who has to block Leonard Little. They played together. Leonard Little says when he was with the Rams, he used to get the best of me. But as Lovie Smith said last night, this isn't the same Leonard Little that Ryan Tucker used to block in practice.
2nd and 10 out of the shotgun at the Ram 47-yard line. 4-man rush. Pass caught over the middle by White. He's to the 40-yard line. That's going to take us to the 2-minute warning. It'll be 3rd down and 3. 2 minutes to play. 1 timeout for Cleveland. And clearly 4 down territory here. So 2 plays to get those 3 yards and keep advancing. St. Louis 26.
Really impressive, this whole thing. These fans, the dog pound down there. I don't think a person has left there. Some people have left across there in the 50-yard line. I think when the Browns got down, but that dog pound, I don't think look at them all out there. I don't think a single one left from there.
Good sight lines here too. They built it steep enough so that you don't have to worry about somebody with a larger than average head sitting in front of you and have to look around them like a lot of stadiums are being built these days. Too shallow. Listen up, architects.
Right. This is not one of the strengths of the Cleveland Browns. 3rd down conversion.
3rd down and 3 at the 40-yard line. 2 minutes to play. 1 timeout left. And Couch under pressure throws. And now it'll be 4th down. They wanted a flag. They don't get it. Couch said, I'm trying to hit Andre King, and they're all over him. So does Butch Davis.
And I think a 3rd down conversion is a little different when you still have a 4th down and you're in 2 downs and you know you're going to go for it. You know, that could have been a running situation had they had a solid offensive line or a big runner. But in this situation, the Browns did what they had to do and are going to have to do it again.
They'll have to do it here, or the Rams can just about run the clock out. Couch. Under pressure. Coughs up the ball. And in effect, it doesn't matter who recovers because the Rams will get it as Brian Young creates it. Brian Young comes in as Couch can't get the pass away. The crowd goes silent, and the Rams, in all likelihood, barring a disaster, will hold on to go to 10-3.
Brian Young is lined up over Enoch DeMar, and you're just going to see him. He makes some big plays. You know, every time I watch Brian Young, I think that, you know, this guy, you know, you don't hear a lot about him, 66 right there, but he'll always come up and make a big play or two in a game. In fact, remember Damian Lewis was their #1 draft choice. Brian Young beat him out. And as Lovie Smith says, he deserves it. He's just playing better.
And you look at Butch Davis and you do the math here, and the Rams can run the clock out. A timeout for Cleveland. They can take that. Here goes Falk to the outside, and Falk is going to come close to picking up a first down. And now Cleveland has to take its timeout prior to a 2nd down and 1. And tonight's aerial coverage is being provided by Bud Light. So you have 1:38. If you take the clock all the way down, you're under a minute when you run the 3rd down play. And then you run that, and then you're down to about 18, 17 seconds, and you have to run a 4th. So they're going to have to run a 4th down play.
Unless they make a first down here, exactly. Because as you say, there's 2nd and 1, and we have to start thinking about this, don't we?
The horse trailer. Yeah. Let's see. No. Yeah. Well, you know what? You go to the defensive side of the ball.
That's what I think. I think there's, like I said, defensive players don't dominate games a lot, but there was one period in this game that I thought Aeneas Williams took it over.
He was like a quarter horse because he won that award in like 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Yeah, and he made the plays. I mean, he made them, at blitzing. Remember, we saw him get the sack, and then we saw him get the interception for the touchdown, and another interception.
And now it's all moot as to what they'll do with the clock, because there's your first down. Williams, by the way, is credited with, even though it's unofficial, it's 10 tackles, 1 official sack, 2 official interceptions. And as I said before, despite playing most of his career with a pretty bad football team in Arizona, this guy is going to be enshrined in Canton. I don't know how he misses.
Well, and he's done it all. I mean, he was a heck of a corner, and he still is, and now he's a free safety on this team when they play their base defense, but those interceptions were when he was a slot corner.
A couple of kneel downs will end it. The Rams will go to 4-3 on the road. They're undefeated at home. The Eagles still hold the advantage over the Rams if the season were to end tonight. So it would be Philadelphia 1, St. Louis 2. The Rams, meanwhile, as far as the balance of their schedule is concerned, they go home next week to face Seattle. Hawks lost yesterday. Then Cincinnati goes to St. Louis, and the season ends with the Rams at Detroit. So not bad. Browns next week go to Denver.
And one of the things, if you're going to be a playoff team and you're a good team like the Rams, you have to win some games when you really play well, and you also have to win some games when you're not on your game, and I think that was true tonight.
No question. I mean, the Rams have played better, can play better, will probably play better in the future before this season is said and done. And the Browns try to mount a comeback, hang in, but come up short, and Cleveland goes to 4-9. So the Rams win it 26-20, and coming up next will be the Autotrader.com postgame show when we wrap it up from Cleveland, Ohio. The NFL in touch